at his chest. After a checkup, he was discharged. The director of AIIMS, Bhubaneswar, said that Chatterjee was fit and required no hospitalization. He was fit, he only had some history of some problems earlier, but none of them were at this moment active. Listen to the doctor yourself. Listen to what he said.
So we investigated and we have submitted the report to the Honorable High Court.
So is there any chest pain?
So there was not much of chest pain.
Okay.
So everything which is off, he will be discharged today.
Any kidney problem, sir?
Yeah.
Any kidney
He has stable condition and maybe whatever the things he is having due to the chronic illness that he is having. So nothing of in serious nature at this moment to intervene. Let us, we have. That is their diagnosis. I am not going to comment on that. So we have given, submitted. Yes. At this moment, we will be discharged.
Viewers, if Chatterjee was trying to pull the wool over the eyes of investigators to evade the consequences of his alleged misdemeanors, he has failed miserably. In fact, even his desperate bid to save his own skin by calling Mamata Banerjee many times during the course of a very long night, as it turned out, failed. She refused to take his calls. He tried her at 2:32 a.m. Then a minute later at 2:33 a.m. Then almost an hour later at 3:37 a.m. And finally, viewers, at 9:35 a.m. But Mamata Banerjee blocked him. Of course, it is too early to say whether he is guilty, but Mamata's act of evading Partha Chatterjee suggests there might be substance to the allegations. As of now, Mamata Banerjee has artfully distanced herself in public from one among her closest aides, Partha Chatterjee. Listen in.
আমি কোনো অন্যায়কে সাপোর্ট না করেও, ভুল বুঝবেন না, দুর্নীতিকে সাপোর্ট করা তো আমার জীবনের নেশাই নয়, পেশাও নয়। আজকে আমি সত্যিই দুঃখিত এবং মর্মাহত এবং শোকাহত কয়েকটি রাজনৈতিক দলের আচরণে। কিন্তু আমি চাই উইদিন দ্য টাইম ফ্রেম সত্যির বিচার হোক। সত্যিটা যদি কেউ দোষী প্রমাণিত হয় তাকে যাবজ্জীবন কারাদণ্ড দিলেও I don't mind.
Now, viewers, in these annexures, the Enforcement Directorate has fleshed out its case, linking the money trail allegedly from Partha Chatterjee to one of his close associates, a woman called Arpita Mukherjee, who is a renowned artist. If the taint sticks, Partha Chatterjee, viewers, will join a raft of TMC MLAs who have been caught on camera allegedly taking money for favors. That was called the Narada scam. Some others have been accused of running Ponzi schemes. That was called the Sarada scam. Or have been pulled up by Mamata herself for accepting cut money. She famously told some of her party colleagues, return the cut money for God's sakes. We all remember when TMC Narada accused, some of them you can see on your screens accepting the money. When they were summoned by the CBI, Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee did a massive dharna outside the agency's office. In other words, Mamata believed that Narada accused all of them were innocent. But then, when one of the Narada accused, Suvendu Adhikari in particular, switched over to the BJP, he became guilty. She said that the BJP has accepted taint into its fold. The TMC to this day says that the BJP has whitewashed Suvendu Adhikari, saying that they have dropped all the pretense of even inquiring on whether he is involved in the Narada scam. thereby clearly accepting the veracity of the charges. These previous instances, flip-flops, call them what you want to, knock the bottom out of the claims from the TMC, that is, leaders smell of roses. Viewers, if indeed this case is building up, and I just want to show you the shocking visuals. I want you to see these visuals of cash. I don't think any of us have seen this much money, sackfuls of money, stuffed in plain view. Crores and crores of money. If any of this belongs to Partha Chatterjee, this would be one of the biggest corruption scandals linked to one particular politician in a long time, viewers. I'm not saying it's not happened in the past, but certainly in a long time. And this warrants many, many questions. Let's ask some of these questions tonight. Let's open this up. Let's get in Biswajit Dev, spokesperson of the TMC, Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author and commentator on all affairs. Let's bring them all into this debate. Let's have a honest and frank conversation without losing our patience with each other. Now, Mr. Dev, let me begin by asking you first, the three of you first. We have others, of course, on this panel, but I'll come to them in just a few moments. Partha Chatterjee is reputed to be among Mamata Banerjee's closest aides, the Bengal Chief Minister's closest aides. It defies logic that she should have blocked his desperate calls in his hour of greatest need, unless, of course, she is distancing herself from him. Mr. Dev, why then is Mamata Banerjee distancing herself from Partha Chatterjee when he needs her most, when he says that he was calling her because he felt that he was being persecuted? She didn't take his calls. Why?
Well, Mamata Banerjee had very clearly clarified the entire incident and had made a statement today in a particular function that if anybody is found guilty, let him be punished, but let him be found guilty first. And we would request, that is what he said, that is what she said, that let there be fast-track courts, let there be time-bound completion of the investigation. The investigation should not be dragged, just like it was dragged in the Sarada case, in the Narada case, in the chit fund cases, and used against the TMC just to malign the TMC party. Okay. That should not be repeated again. What should be done? You finish the case, you finish the investigation within a time-bound schedule, and take the matter to the fast-track court. Okay. Get if there is evidence, file charge sheet against him, and go for a trial. Okay. And if he is found guilty, we will not support him. Okay. We will take.
Now, Mr. Dev, I don't know if you have access to a television screen in front of you.
But the way.
No, I don't know if you have access to a television screen in front of you.
But the way. No.
But please look at the television screen. Can you see it there? It's in the corner. It's on your right-hand side corner.
Yes, I'm watching.
Now tell me.
I am watching.
What are these pictures? Now, Mr. Dev, you see these pictures? These are from May 17th, 2021. Almost a year ago, almost a little bit over a year ago, when Mamata Banerjee showed up like a lioness that she is. She is a lioness, as you know. She showed up outside the CBI office in Kolkata. Why? Because she was defending her MLAs, her MPs, her leaders. She hasn't done this with Partha Chatterjee. She has in fact blocked him. Why hasn't she then sacked him?
It was not a question. It was not a question of defending. It was a question of a protest against the central government which was misusing the central agencies in a blatant manner.
Misusing. Viewers, you heard what he said.
Against the TMC.
You heard what he said.
Yes.
Misusing. Now, this is a very important term.
At that particular time.
Okay. Now,
viewers,
look, I'm not going to pretend here by suggesting that the BJP's... 1 minute. That the BJP's probes have significantly led to convictions. I'm not even going to pretend. It has happened in the past where the BJP has made a huge mountain out of a large amount of charges but have not been able to follow up with convincing convictions, etc. We'll come to that a little later. But what did Mr. Deb say? Misuse.
Please
misuse.
Finish. I have not completed.
Now, 1 second. I'll just come back to you. I'll come back to you, sir. Just be patient. Give me 30 seconds. I'm not letting you off the hook. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So just 30. I request your indulgence. You use the term misuse. Now, viewers, it's a very important term in the context of this debate because who was Mamata Banerjee staging a 6-hour dharna for? She was doing so for the Narda accused. Who were some of the Narada accused? Suvendu Adhikari. Now, if she believes that the agencies were misusing their powers to entrap her colleagues, then why today does she say that the same Suvendu Adhikari who flipped and joined the BJP is guilty? That the BJP must prosecute him and put him behind bars. Mr. Deb, question to you.
Can I reply?
Yes.
I'll just reply. You see, in spite of the protest made by Mamata Banerjee, it was evidently clear that all the Trinamool Congress leaders, including the mayor of Calcutta, was taken into custody. Whether you agree to it or not, they were taken into custody, and the mayor and the minister, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, late Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, was taken into custody when he was a cabinet minister.
Sure.
But at that time, why Suvendu Adhikari was not also taken into custody? That was the point raised by Trinamool Congress several times.
Okay, double standards they claim. TMC claims double standards.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. If the TMC leaders could have been taken into custody, why not equal treatment?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That you are claiming
discrimination.
That's what I'm saying, sir. That you are claiming double standards tonight.
What is discrimination? Why the discrimination?
I know, that's what you're saying. You're accusing the BJP-led...
Why the discrimination? That is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Why discrimination? Why the double standards? The TMC is asking today. But viewers, I want to ask one final question before I bring in Sanju Verma to respond and Dr. Ranganathan.
Today the situation is different.
Okay, this situation is different.
Today the situation is different.
Let me, sir, pipe down.
Today the situation is different.
Okay.
Because the woman, 10 seconds, because the woman from whom the cash was recovered does not belong to Trinamool. She has got no connection with Trinamool.
Okay.
And Trinamool has got no connection with that woman.
Okay.
And Trinamool has got no connection with the
cash. But sir, here in my hand is a document. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the truth, but it is a document of the deeds dated August 2020 in the name of Enche Entertainment Private Limited. These documents seem to suggest that Mr. Partha Chatterjee, and these documents have been received from his person, residential premises, and recovered in the presence of 2 independent witnesses who put their dated signatures, a token of having seen them, with lots of links to this lady that you're talking about. So Partha Chatterjee is still a TMC member, so how can you say that TMC has no links with... Anyhow, I presume what you're saying is that these are all allegations and nothing has been proven.
I am saying she's not a member.
She's not a member.
Partha Chatterjee can have relation.
Okay.
Partha Chatterjee can have relation.
Right.
Partha Chatterjee can have relation. With not only 1 woman, with 10 women.
With 10 women.
That is his personal affair. We are not concerned about that.
Okay.
Trinamool is not concerned about that.
Okay. Well, clearly, sir, you are advocating that some of your MPs or MLAs or what have you should have multiple affairs, relationships, that's their private business. That just shows that in today's day and age, that kind of politically incorrect statement... anyhow, let's not go down that route. The point is, viewers, this is evidence that has been collected from Partha Chatterjee's homes, allegedly, and it links him very clearly to this lady from where the money was also recovered. And you've seen the cash. I mean, I've never seen that kind of money in my life.
But that cash was not recovered from Partha Chatterjee.
No, it's not.
Cash
It's from
was
this
not
lady.
recovered from Partha Chatterjee.
Who Mr. Chatterjee knows.
You are again, I'm sorry to say.
Okay.
I am sorry
I'm saying
to
it
say,
was recovered from the lady's
You are
home.
misleading the viewers. No. They recovered from the lady's home.
I said so.
And she has got no connection with Trinamool.
Sir, maybe...
And neither Trinamool has got any connection with her.
Okay, maybe, sir. Maybe because you're sitting...
We are, our Chief Minister,
Right.
our Honorable Chief Minister has repeatedly said, well, you expedite the investigation.
Right.
Fix up a fast court.
Okay.
Fast track court.
Okay.
Send him to trial if there is evidence. File a charge sheet. And if he is found guilty, we will throw him out.
Mr. Deb, you're sitting on a distant link. You're probably not hearing what I'm saying. I clearly mentioned that the money was recovered from her home. So maybe on a distant link, you're not getting what I'm saying clearly. I also said that you are alleging double standards. I didn't say that you are being accused by me of double standards. So hang on. So maybe there's some interference with the sound. But nonetheless, viewers, some response is coming. But viewers, the TMC cannot claim to be a party above the stench of corruption. We have seen some of their leaders accepting money on camera for alleged favors. Mamata Banerjee has admitted that there was a cut money scandal that was running rife, and asked some of her own cadre to return. That is a public record. So it's obviously a party not above corruption. Now, whether Partha Chatterjee is mixed up or not, that only time will tell. But I have some question, a direct question for the BJP. And it follows from what Mr. Deb has been saying. Madam, Sanju Verma, straight direct question. You accuse Savendu Adhikari of corruption in the Narada scam, yet you took him into your own party as the chief ministerial face. You made him your party's LOP, leader of opposition in the House. Clearly, you are just grandstanding. It just so happens that there's an opposition politician who's close to Mamata Banerjee, so throw a lot of mud at him in the hope that some of it sticks and also taints, blots Mamata Banerjee and the TMC. That's the charge that is being made. That's a fact that I'm presenting to you. Sanju Verma, how do you respond to this?
Rahul, first and foremost, it's great to see you on India Upfront after more than 2 weeks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Coming straight to your question, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I will answer your question, but I simply love this effort to draw a false equivalence between the BJP and the TMC. Today, who is the person in the dock? It is Partha Chatterjee. And before answering your question, since the earlier gentleman from TMC took a good 10 to 15 minutes, the charge that Partha Chatterjee and Archita Mukherjee, his close aide and confidants, are today in the custody of the ED thanks to political vendetta by the BJP is a whole lot of hogwash. And I'll tell you why in 10 seconds. It was in November 2021, Rahul, for the first time that a single bench led by Justice Abhijit Gangopadhyay clearly said that there is grave corruption in the SSC recruitment in West Bengal. He castigated the TMC government and said that the CBI should take over the probe. Then Partha Chatterjee, then TMC, and then Mamata Banerjee, with folded hands, said we do not believe a single bench judgment. We want to be heard by a division bench. And mind you, in May 2022, there was a division bench of the Kolkata High Court presided by Justice Harish Tandon. And he upheld what Justice Abhijit Gangopadhyay said, saying that there is massive corruption. The words that Justice Harish Tandon used while giving his judgment and castigating Mamata Banerjee were money laundering, conflict of interest, proceeds of crime, corruption in highest cases in West Bengal, mala fide intent, criminal conspiracy.
Okay.
You will be surprised to know, I will just conclude, you will be surprised to know, after Justice Harish Tandon also held Partha Chatterjee and the TMC government culpable of the SSC scam, where the destinies of young children, teachers are being compromised with.
Not TMC government. No, not TMC government. I have read the judgment.
This is not fair. Rahul, I did not interrupt.
Please do not misinterpret.
Mr. Deb, respond to her. I'll give you the opportunity. Let's not speak over each other, please.
I did not interrupt this man even once.
You can respond to her. And that's why I brought you into the frame. you can respond to her
Yes.
clearly. Yes, finish your point, Ms. Verma.
After Justice Abhijeet Gangopadhyay of the Kolkata High Court, after Justice Harish Tandon of the Kolkata High Court, both said Partha Chatterjee, TMC and Mamata Banerjee are culpable. Then the Trinamool Congress had the shameless and brazen audacity to approach Justice Rajashekar Mantha of the Kolkata High Court in June 2022. 10 seconds, Rahul. And Justice Rajashekar Mantha also said that there has been an institutionalization of corruption in the education sector in West Bengal, both in the primary and secondary level. So please stop taking the moral high ground.
Okay.
The Kolkata
Quick
High
response.
Court has castigated you. It
Quick
is not
response.
the
The
BJP,
Calcutta,
it is
the Calcutta High Court has castigated you, says Sanju Verma. Don't blame this and don't pin this on us and vindictiveness.
No.
Mr. Deb.
I have given you the
Calcutta High
dates,
Court,
the
whatever
months
Calcutta
and
High
the
Court has said,
specific instances.
I have gone through the judgment. I have gone through the judgment of the single bench and the division bench also.
Okay.
And nowhere the Calcutta High Court has held the government responsible. A particular department may have been castigated, but that does not mean the entire government was not fingers were not raised by the Calcutta High Court on the entire state government. That's a misinterpretation of the judgment which was passed by the Calcutta High Court, both by the single bench and by the division bench. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, now 1 second. Okay, now let's not speak over each other, please. I'm stepping in and lowering everyone's faders.
You are also lying. You are also lying.
Okay, both lying. Okay, 1 minute. Both accusing each other of lying. Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Let me bring in Tausif Ahmed. Let me bring in Sanjay Jha. Now look, there is no doubt, Dr. Ranganathan, that the BJP and the TMC lower everyone's faders. Please, I don't want to have people speaking over each other, and I'm not going to raise my voice. Thank you, Nizam Bhai. Now, Dr. Ranganathan, we are no strangers to this punch and judy show which takes place quite often between the BJP and the TMC. We know that they are at each other's throats, that this is really a battle to the finish between them, and therefore they will pull out every card to try and annihilate each other politically. So let's first concede that in the backdrop, but how do you see what's happening here, Dr. Ranganathan? How do you see what's happening?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. I've been waiting, listening to very intently to this wonderful debate, and I hope to get courtesy of 2 minutes of uninterrupted time. And welcome back, Rahul. We missed you.
Thank you.
The two issues here, Rahul, this is one point that I especially would like to make as a professional belonging to the domain of science and medicine. I think it's a very sad day for the medical professionals of Bengal, and I say this apolitically. It had become almost routine for the court to order investigations in a case to happen outside a state because the court did not trust the state's investigative agencies, Gujarat, UP, Maharashtra, Bengal, Punjab. But this is the first time that the court has ordered a mere simple medical checkup to happen outside of a state. I mean, this is profoundly embarrassing and a new low. Number two, the only way now for Partha Chatterjee to escape prison is to join the BJP. Every CBI or ED raid carries, Rahul, the baggage of being politically motivated, even if it is not, because number one, the investigative agencies are not apolitical or independent. They remain parrots. And when you domesticate a parrot, it finds its favorite shoulder. And right now, the shoulder is of Modi. Two, years of trial and error have now resulted in an established recourse that those who are raided take. A, if the raided are businessmen, they simply start or buy out a media house, and every time they are raided, their media arm cries government vendetta. And B, if the raided are politicians, they simply join the BJP. From Goa to Manipur to Bengal to Karnataka, every single politician, when in trouble, has dipped himself into this Behti Ganga that is the BJP. Then, miraculously, all leads go cold. All investigations come to a dead end. Remember Adhikari? Remember Mukul Roy and how the investigations on him went cold when he joined the BJP? And by the way, they have restarted after he has returned to the TMC. Remember when BJP's Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao had demanded an ED raid and had written to the Rajya Sabha Ethics Committee alleging involvement of TDP's YS Chowdhury in court, massive financial bungling and fraud of 5,700 crores, and sought his disqualifications over court, a serious breach of ethics, unquote. Well, Before the Rajya Sabha could act, Mr. Chaudhary promptly joined the BJP, forcing Mr. Rao to eat the humble pie. That the CBI, IT, ED agencies are the most potent weapon in a politician's hand is not conspiratorial cynicism, Rahul, but a statement based on precedents. Remember, it was the BJP that staged a nationwide protest in May 2010, crying that the UPA was using the CBI to blackmail opposition leaders to toe the line on budget proposals. In September 2013, Mr. Jaitley complained to PM Manmohan Singh that the CBI was being used to frame Modi and Shah. Remember in 2008, when the left withdrew its support to the UPA, the CBI withdrew its case against Mulayam Singh, who then supported the UPA. And a year later, they promptly readmitted the case. Enter NDA, and the parrot remained a parrot, just that the shoulders changed. Rahul, just 10 seconds. The incontrovertible fact, Rahul, is that in this country, you can fool all of the people all of the time.
Well,
Rahul,
I need to come in. 1 second. Ms. Verma, I must ask you this question. You accused Suvendu Adhikari of corruption in the Narda scam, yet you took him into your party. I asked you this question as the Chief Minister faced. You made him your party's LOP. Today he stands in the House asking questions in an LOP, right? In 2019 Lok Sabha polls, the BJP fielded many scam-tainted accused, including Bhanu Pratap Shahi, named in a 130 crore medicine scam. The question is why? Mukul Roy accused in Narda, but BJP welcomed him into its party. Now he's back in the TMC, and the raids and whatever else you want to call them have begun again. The case is revived. So, Sanju Verma, again let me ask you, what's the outrage all about? If he flips tomorrow and joins you, and perhaps lets out a few cats out of the bag, you will treat him like the pet.
Rahul, please, now you have your say. I will rebut your allegation. First and foremost, you know, I think there is nobody who in their sane mind can accuse the Prime Minister and the BJP of harboring people who are corrupt or tainted. And let me tell you why. You might, think I'm grandstanding. I say this with responsibility on your channel as the national spokesperson, that today, be it the Sarda scam, be it the Narda scam, be it the Amphan cyclone scam, in all these, be it the court scam of 20,000 crore in which Abhishek Banerjee, Mamata Banerjee's nephews involved, be it Madan Mitra, be it Govind Chatterjee, be it Suvendu Adhikari, be it Mukul Roy, be it Srinjoy Bose, be it Sudipto Sen, be it Devjani Mukherjee. These are the people who are currently being investigated. And trust me, if the guilty are brought to book by the Enforcement Directorate and the court after a fair trial saying that these people are actually guilty of abetting a scam, be it Sarda, Narada, coal scam, Amphan cyclone, what have you. The BJP has no place for such scamsters.
No, but that's weird. So you're waiting for a conviction, is it?
Why is it that you do not give me time, Rahul?
No, I'm only asking you to clarify.
What are you asking me to clarify?
Are you only waiting for a conviction?
Let me come in. Let me finish. You have given ample time to the others. It's only fair to put my case forward. Then you can rebut me again. I did not say that we are only waiting for a conviction. But all I'm saying is let there be a fair trial. When Mamata Banerjee says let there be a fair trial of Partha Chatterjee, we say fine. That's a nice statement to make. But at the same time, we are saying that please do not ignore the 21 crore stamp found in Archita Mukherjee's residence. And let me tell you what you have not told your, audience, that Partha Chatterjee yesterday actually intimidated the Enforcement Directorate.
Look.
And the fact of the matter is why you just keep talking about Suvendu Adhikari. Have you one crown system that mentioned Abhishek Banerjee, Mamata Banerjee's nephew, accused of the 20,000 crore coal scam? No. Can you please talk about Abhishek Banerjee in the 20,000 crore
Sanju Verma, let me tell you that this channel broke a story.
This is
No, 1 minute, Mr. Dev, 1 minute. No, 1 second. Everyone, please silence. I've been asked to clarify something. Let me tell you, viewers, I am asking these questions of the TMC even now, even though there have been cases filed against me and one of my colleagues for doing our job. So I don't want to hear lectures from anyone, including BJP spokespersons or Mr. Deb, etc., etc. We do our job. We are not undeterred. We'll go to jail. No problems. But I won't stop asking the questions. Let me first point out what is being said, and this is important as I come out to. No, one second. I've not allowed anyone else to speak here. Tausif Ahmed, who is also now very much part of a political party. Sanjay Jha, author and leader of the Congress. Let me bring you in. Let me first go across to Tausif Ahmed. Tausif Ahmed, this is what the Kolkata High Court said. And I want to quote this. And this is what Firad Hakim says now. Kolkata High Court, May 18, 2022, about 2 months ago, said, from the contents of the orders reproduced above, it is prima facie clear that serious irregularities were noticed and recorded by the Honorable Single Judge Bench in the appointments to the 3 categories recommended by the SSC and executed by the West Bengal Board of Secondary Education. It was also prima facie noticed that the record by the Honorable Single Bench that at the root of the illegal recommendations were the activities of the 5-member so-called super committee appointed by the order of the School Education Department dated 1st November 2019, approved by then Minister in charge under the advisorship of one SP Sinha. Several individual instances of illegal appointments issued on the recommendation of the said super committee have been detailed in the orders of the Honorable Single Bench, and such details could not be rebutted by the lead counsel appearing for the SSC and also for some of the appointed candidates. Now, Mr. Hakim said this, that he expressed his shame and disappointment over the charges. Mr. Tausif Ahmed, he's your senior leader. If he is ashamed by what the Kolkata High Court has found, if he is ashamed by the charges, why hasn't Partha Chatterjee been sacked till now? Simple question, Mr. Tausif Ahmed. Straightforward.
You see, the recovery of money, the mere recovery of money does not actually mean that this money was collected in lieu of the alleged recruitment scam, because the scam happened in 2016 and thereafter the demonetization happened, and there would be lots of questions for which there would be no easy answer, because after the demonetization and after for how long, for over 5-6 years
Ahmed, let's not dance around. I asked you a very simple question, and this question is, why is then Firad Hakim shamed and disappointed? Simple. You answer that question. Why is Firad Hakim feeling ashamed and disappointed? He's a TMC top leader. He's not an insignificant personality. Why is he ashamed and disappointed with Mr. Partha Chatterjee, who you will concede was the then education minister in 2019? Will you concede that?
And the party, so long the political question is concerned, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee herself has said that if the arrested minister is found guilty, action will be taken.
Sack him pending inquiry. Sack him pending inquiry. That's the question I'm asking you.
That's a prerogative of the Chief Minister, and nobody can dictate that to her. If you talk about collection,
so morality also cannot dictate to her. Can morality also not dictate to her?
Rahul,
conscience also not dictate to her? Is she above morality and conscience? Question straight to you. Since you invoked who could dictate to her, should morality and conscience not dictate Tausif Ahmed to Mamata Banerjee, or is she above both? Simple question, Tausif Ahmed.
Not very long ago, in Uttar Pradesh, about 284 crore rupees cash was recovered.
Right.
From Piyush Jain.
Did the TMC not demand the resignation of Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant in the absence of an FIR, merely on the basis of what ex-governor Satyapal Malik claimed? So why, sir, are you not acting against Mr. Chatterjee using the same yardstick? You made that demand. He was not even booked. There was no FIR. It was only a claim by ex-governor Satyapal Malik, and you said the Chief Minister of Goa should go. He should be sacked. Why today, sir, when there is a High Court, when there is your own minister saying that he's disappointed, is Mamata Banerjee not listening to her conscience and sacking this individual? Simple, straightforward question, sir. Forget about what happens elsewhere.
No. How can we forget? You
Oh.
just said that we have never seen such a huge recovery of cash.
Okay.
And I'm reminding you that not very long ago, 10 times
I am saying
more
so,
than
sir.
10
So
times
two wrongs
higher,
make a right.
The cash was recovered.
So you
And
would
what
say
it
that that
turned
person
out
should
to
go?
be,
Should
it
you?
turned out to
Will
be
you tell me today,
same money
Mr.
laundering
Ahmed?
case,
Mr.
and
Ahmed,
taxes
should
were
that
paid and he was let go.
should that individual
So does this
in Uttar
link it
Pradesh
to the recruitment scam is to be ascertained by a proper investigation,
Sir,
for which the chief
sir,
minister has demanded
Sir, pending. Okay, Sanjay Jha.
fast track time
Sanjay Jha,
bound
let me bring you in. Sanjay
What
Jha, let
wrong
me
has
bring you
he
in.
done?
Let me bring you in, Sanjay Jha. This is an important, straightforward question. Don't dodge, don't duck tonight. I'm asking you. In 2013, the TMC demanded the resignation of UPA Minister A.H. Khan Chaudhary for his alleged links to the Sarda Group. So why not ask Partha Chatterjee to step down now? Is that demand ultra-virus of conscience? Is it yes or no? If they could set the same yardstick for your government, you were part of the UPA, sir. The Congress was its lead player. Your minister, they said, should quit. He should be sacked. Should the TMC today be standing on some imagined propriety, I don't know, and not sack this gentleman? Simple, straightforward question to you.
Well, Rahul, let me be very upfront with you. I think your question is valid, and I completely agree with what Anand has said earlier on your show, and that will answer your question. One, and this is very clear, this is an old saying.
Thank you.
Is hammam mein sab nange hain. It is a fact. Nobody can deny that. Number two, he's absolutely right in terms of the institutional emasculation
No,
in
don't
India.
talk about
Look
Dr.
at the
Ranganathan.
EDs.
I've asked you a simple question. Sir, should the TMC, and let me ask you this again, maybe you did not hear my question because it's very important to get to the nub of the issue. We all know what Dr. Ranganathan said. He held forth for 3 minutes. He doesn't leave anyone
So give me 30
ambiguous
seconds.
about his message. So we've all heard. Now I want to ask
give
you,
me 30
don't parrot him.
seconds, yeah.
Since we are talking about parrots, don't parrot him. He's taken off. He is flying high. I want to come to you, Sanjay Jha, straight question. Look, in 2013, the TMC demanded the resignation of a minister in your government, sir. His name is A.H. Khan Chaudhary.
I'm aware of that.
For alleged
I'm aware.
links to the Sarda Group. Now, that was a clear demand, yes?
Right.
Why were they
Absolutely.
making this demand? They were making this demand because the party stood for propriety. Obviously, isn't it, sir? Propriety in politics. Right? So today I want to ask you, Sanjay Jha, if they still want to believe in propriety, should they not ask their own man, who Firad Hakim, their own top minister, is embarrassed by? Should they not ask him to go? Simple question.
So let me, Rahul, now just give me 30 seconds to respond to your question. Absolutely. I can't speak on behalf of TMC, but I will tell you this, that when Mr. Rajnath Singh was asked this question, that there are many allegations against BJP leaders, why don't you resign? You know what Rajnath Singh famously said? We are not UPA, our guys don't resign. So let me answer your question. I can't speak on behalf of TMC. Let Mr. Dev and Mr. Ahmed answer that. But today, Karnataka government is called a 30% cut government. You know why? Because of the allegations
that right?
emerged. And
So,
Mr. Ishwarappa had
the
to
BJP
resign.
is a bad, corrupt
30%
party.
cut government.
Should the TMC also follow in their footsteps?
I?
It's a simple question. Maybe they should try to distinguish themselves. Maybe if they
Well, that's
present
what the
themselves as the
TMC
alternative, they will become.
You really hit the nail.
That is for the TMC to decide, and I will tell you this, the ED's
Sanjay,
conviction rate is 0.5%.
You see, viewers, this is where the problem is. Even people like Sanjay Jha, even people like Sanjay Jha, who serve the Congress party, who the TMC goes out of its way to constantly rebuke, snub, exclude from opposition meetings, will defend. The
I'm not defending.
indefensible.
Actually, that's
Why?
what the TMC
Why? Because he has a larger problem with the BJP. Principles and ethics all out of the window. You see, I'm not
Not
defending,
really.
viewers, I'm not
Not all.
defending the BJP. It has a case to answer on many accounts.
Rahul, just 10 seconds.
May I please
But
come
hypocrisy is the greatest enemy. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. I want to wrap it up on Dr. Ranganathan.
Please allow me to speak.
No.
Thank
1
you.
minute, Dr. Ranganathan. Yes. Dr. Ranganathan.
For 30 seconds.
Thank you.
I will let you all have 30 seconds. Give me some uninterrupted time with Dr. Ranganathan. He wants to make a point. Both of you can come out and make your points. Closing arguments with BJP and TMC. I'll leave. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rahul. We've been around 40 minutes into debate, and you've actually hit the nail on the head by saying that politics is about optics, and optics is of morality, ethics, and propriety. It is a moot point for anyone to say that any political party will immediately throw out a convicted politician, because as it is, according to the Supreme Court, a convicted politician is barred from fighting elections, so there's no point keeping him or her in the party. The issue is, will you keep a tainted politician? And here, every political party is to blame. And let me now give you just two examples. From 2008 to 2013, the BJP government in Karnataka actually said and arrested through an SIT a minister, Anand Singh, of 16 forest crime charges. 16. What happens? He was in Congress, he switched to BJP, and what has BJP made him now? Forest minister. Let me give you another example of Montserrat. He was in Goa, Congress. He was accused, BJP accused him and demanded an arrest of Montserrat on child rape, burning the police station. What happened? He switched to BJP.
Hypocrisy abounds. Hypocrisy abounds. You know,
the point
you know when the Supreme Court, Dr. Ranganathan, asked Parliament to frame a law barring all these chaps who have criminal cases against them, they couldn't bring themselves to do it. It just tells you what the real problem is.
And I want to ask the BJP.
Yes.
Just 10 seconds, Rahul.
Yes.
I want to ask if it is not about conviction, but about taking in tainted. Jagdish Titler has also never been convicted.
That's true.
So will the BJP, if tomorrow
Sanju
Jagdish
Verma,
Titler
respond.
wants to join the BJP,
Respond.
will the BJP say, Jagdish Titler, come to BJP?
Rahul,
Respond.
my turn now.
Yes, ma'am. Respond.
You.
Sanju Verma responding.
Yeah. Rahul, I just want to tell you, Rahul, when you ask the question, it's my duty to respond. And, that's not giving you a lecture. Please, indulge the BJP at times, because you're very indulgent towards the TMC and the Congress for reasons, I am not aware of. Because the
Neither am I.
was about Partha.
Can you illuminate?
Let me tell you one thing, Rahul, which I'm sad upset about. This debate, and I have every right to be. This debate is about Partha Chatterjee. Fine. As the opposition, you need to demand probity from BJP. And me being somebody who's educated, who's had a successful corporate thing, I want my politics should be about change in the real sense of the term. I'm not going to defend tainted ministers from either side of the fence. But what I don't understand, and I always say this on your debate, the most important thing is having a sense of proportion. And be it the Rogue Valley scam of 40,000 crores, Sarga scam of 50,000 crores, Narda scam of 10,000 crores, Soul scam of 20,000 crores, we are talking of thousands of crores worth of scam under the Mamata Banerjee government. Name 5 scams. Under the BJP government, under PM Modi, I can assure you, you can't talk of even one. So Mr. Ranganathan does not have a sense of proportion. And as for Sanjay Jha, Sonia Gandhi out on bail, Rahul Gandhi out on bail, P. Chidambaram out on bail, Nalini Chidambaram out on bail,
Look,
Karti Chidambaram
I don't know
out
about Dr. Ranganathan's sense of proportion, but I do know that politicians have a sense of distortion. They distort and distort and distort. So, look, Mr. Dev, very quickly, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Why aren't you sacking? Why aren't you sacking this man?
Yes, please.
Sack Chatterjee. Sack him.
There is a long list. No. First of all, let us hear. Let us see how many allegations are there against BJP.
Okay.
You see, first of all, I would
because the BJP doesn't do it, we
DFHA
won't do it.
Scam.
Okay, fine. I got your answer.
Bank fraud amounting
I got your answer,
34,000 crore. Public distribution system scam. Former CM Chhattisgarh, 36,000 crore. In Karnataka, police sub-inspector recruitment scam in which their leader was arrested, 25 lakh rupees per appointment. We have not forgotten.
Viewers, let me tell you, forget about the money here. Lower everyone's faders. Forget about the money here. Viewers, this is not really about money. This is about meritocracies. This is about merit. This is about robbing the youth of India that we want to build and invest in of a future. If you're going to rig appointments in the education system, what are you actually doing? You're destroying the foundation of India's future. What is really worse is that you're also taking money for it. It's actually double jeopardy. That is the sense of proportion. I don't care about the thousands of crores. The proportion here is derived from the fact that people are like termites, hollowing out a system that should be robust to build India's future. You are destroying India's future. That is a sense of proportion. Now you tell me, viewers, the response. Can the response be because the BJP doesn't do it, we won't do it? Or the BJP says, oh, because the TMC doesn't do it, we won't do it? Who is suffering? Your children. Your children. This country, this nation, in the next 10, 15 years, that has a demographic dividend which will get squandered if we don't invest in our youth. That's the sense of proportion. None of these politicians talk about that. And there's nothing like a debate on corruption, viewers, to point out how everybody, and they can call me, you see, the Congress will call me sold out, the TMC will say the same, the BJP will say the same. I love it. If I'm sold out in everyone's eyes, I must be doing something right. Viewers, the sense of proportion today is the future of our country that is being let down. Now, think about what we can do to pay them back. That loss, which is unquantifiable. I'll leave it at that, viewers, because there is another very big story. A very big story coming out of Parliament, and this has been exercising the minds of just about everybody. The 6th day today of Parliament. In the last 5 days, viewers, one bill has been passed. Productivity is tanking by the minute, quite literally. Let me give you some shocking statistics, and I'm going to pull them up on your screen. Nidam Bhai will pull them. On the 18th of this month, the productivity of the Lok Sabha was 10%. On the 19th, it was 8%. On the 20th, 15%. It's there on your screens. On 21st July, 30%. 22nd July, plummeting back to 17%. The average for the last 5 days, 16%. Viewers, let me tell you a statistic. A statistic which you should remember, we should think about. It is estimated that for every minute lost in Parliament, unproductive minute, you and I pay 2.5 lakh rupees. Yes, 2.5 lakh rupees of public money is wasted. Goes down the drain. And when across 5 days, only 16% of the time is being utilized to do some actual work, then viewers, you can imagine 18 hours, 44 minutes lost. A huge price we are paying. For what? Grandstanding. Today the Speaker says enough is enough. I had warned you some days ago, don't test me, stop this business of running into the well of the House with placards, waving them in my face, disrupting by design. I will take action. Today his patience ran out. He has taken action. He has decided to suspend 4 MPs of the Congress party, Manikam Tagore, Ramya Haridas, Jyotirmani, Congress MP also suspended for the entire session, and Mr. Pratapan, all suspended for the entire session. Now viewers, the opposition has come out and said that this is a murder of democracy, that dissent goes hand in hand with democracy. The BJP has come out and says no. Decorum, no democracy. I want to go straight across to Smita Prakash. Smita Prakash, you were there in Parliament today to witness another very important moment, historic moment. You've been to Parliament's galleries several times in your career. You witnessed how these houses work. What do you make of this suspension? Do you stand with it, or do you believe that today, under the gavel of the Speaker's hammer, this particular, our democracy is being completely crushed? Where do you stand on this?
No, I absolutely don't believe that democracy is being crushed, and I wish that this action had been taken 10 years back, 15, 20 years back. I just do not like it one bit when there is disruption in Parliament. I mean, the MPs knew they were violating Rule 374. They'd been warned before, but they chose to disregard it and abuse the authority of the chair in a persistent manner, not just once, in a persistent manner, and they invited censure. I mean, who are these parliamentarians now? I mean, of course, everybody's been doing it, but who are the parliamentarians who were suspended? There's Mr. Manikam Tagore. Now, this is his second term in Lok Sabha, so he's not a novice. He knew it. Then there's Mr. Pratapan. He's a 3-term MLA and now MP, so it's not as if he's a novice either. Then there is Ms. Jyoti Mani. Now, she has defeated Mr. Tambidurai, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of expectations which are resting on her young shoulders, because she's considered the hope for the party. And now this is what she has, this black mark. Then there is Ramya Haridas, who comes from an extremely humble background. She couldn't even afford to campaign. There had to be a group sourcing of funds. Now, this is the lady who has battled all odds, represents the Dalit community, and so much hope rests on these young shoulders. Why do you think that these people have gone and done this? Obviously on the orders of some people who are so entitled, have been in Parliament so many times, they don't care. They've sent these young kids, Jao, lado, take the placards, go and yell and scream. It's so unfortunate that they insulted the chair like this. Work days destroyed, which you mentioned, and the speaker warned them before suspension. What did the sloganeering achieve? Those 4 guys are out, right, for several days.
Okay.
And the ones who are supposed to come from the Congress party are taking vacations. They barely come.
Well, interesting point and an interesting perspective. Dr. Ranganathan, decorum is essential to democracy. Would you agree, or do you have a problem with this?
Rahul, the naked truth is that we are cursed with electing either louts or Luddites. But I have a solution. Every time a parliamentarian disrupts the House, his term should be truncated by 4 months. Straight. 3 disruptions and he or she will have 1 year less to loot his or her constituency. What better way to turn a delinquent into eloquent? Budget, monsoon, winter, every parliamentary session is the same old story. Every year, every term. No one is interested in finding a solution. And this, by the way, cuts across party lines, across legislative assemblies, state or central. I mean, of course, what has happened in the parliament is shameful, and the opposition parties are to be blamed for it. But the fact is, are you telling me that the BJP hasn't indulged in the same? One doesn't even have to go back to the UPA era to find instances of the BJP creating ruckus, indulging in vandalism, forcing adjournment. Their leaders even saying that this was part of democracy. No. Just look at the states where non-BJP governments are functioning. Rajasthan, for example. Not a day passed by without the BJP creating havoc in the state legislative assembly, shouting slogans, disrupting the house. So the fact of the matter is, these MPs are least bothered about the severity of the punishment meted out. 1,000 rupee fine or a suspension. They are laughing at this. That is why I propose every time a parliamentarian disrupts the House, his or her term should be truncated by 4 months. This will scare them and hopefully make them behave. The sad truth, Rahul, is just 10 seconds. That democracy, more often than we'd like to admit, is not so much the defeat of the elected as it is the defeat of the electorate.
Let me bring in Mr. Lokesh Jindal, who speaks for the Congress party. I want to ask you, sir, as Smita Prakash has pointed out, these people were categorically told by the speaker not to wave placards because it is against the rules. Underlining the word rules. None of them were inexperienced. Smita Prakash has told us, given us small sketches. So I want to ask you, why were these warnings ignored? Were they ignored by design or under orders? Lokesh Jindal.
Rahul, there is no other way to make this government listen to the needs of the people and what a common man is suffering. Now, presently, the government, with all its legislations, whether it is the farm laws, introduction of GST, demonetization, all these forms of acts which were introduced, they were unparliamentary, they were undemocratic in their character.
Okay.
In fact, a recent finding has been that the percentage of bills that have been referred to parliamentary committees has reduced from 71% from 2019-2014 to 27% in the 16th Lok Sabha 2014-19 to right now it is hardly 13%. The point is the manner in which this government is functioning is by completely ignoring the entire basis of deliberation. There is no role of the Parliament. Even Honorable Chief Justice of India has pointed out that the Parliament is losing its
So you're saying that street blockades, the vetoes that were struck down by the Supreme Court, though I'm no fan of how they approached it, were decidedly described as illegal. That same stratagem should now be brought to the Sansad. The street blockade should be now copied to Sansad blockade because you have no choice. Is that what you're saying? Let me bring in Sanju Verma. Look at the way viewers, so hold Parliament to ransom. Why even have Parliament then? Why have Parliament? Tomorrow that will be the question that will be asked. Burn it down. They'll say tomorrow someone will come to completely, no, they'll come with a wrecking ball and they'll demolish everything. I want to ask you, 1 second, Sanju Verma, respond. There's no other way of making this government listen. What do? We are pushed to the wall.
You know, Rahul, first and foremost, let me tell you that, the decision to suspend these 4 members from the Congress party by the chair of the House was taken adhering to Rule 255 and Rule 256. And the Speaker also has powers under Article 93, 94, 95, 96. Those powers were exercised. So it was constitutional and there was nothing out of context about it, point number 1. Point number 2, I think this whole business about the Speaker saying don't use placards, don't start sloganeering and throwing books and throwing paper rockets in the well of the House. This was first made public via a circular by the Congress in 2009. But recently, a few weeks back, when the BJP only reinforced the circular, the Congress started flying foul. Point number 3, this is the same Congress party which is today, apart from, their drama about wanting to discuss inflation, what is their actual, outcry about? Why was Mallikarjun Kharge given a corner seat in the front row? This is the same place where Arun Jaitley sat when he was leader of the opposition in 2012. So सदन के बाहर inflation के बारे में discuss करना है, सदन के अंदर when they get the opportunity they want to do ड्रामेबाजी. This is the real face of the Congress. 1 second. For all those who say that there is no productivity in both houses, Lok Sabha we have a brute majority. Productivity has never fallen below 110%. Rajya Sabha we don't have an absolute majority. Productivity has never risen above 48%.
Okay, well viewers, look, at the end of the day a benchmark is being set. It is being invoked by the Speaker going back to a circular the Congress issued in 2009. There's enough evidence of that. We can quibble or we can accept. One has to find different methods of bringing up a point rather than disrupting houses. It doesn't work. Yes, the BJP has done it in the past. Whole sessions were washed out. Arun Jaitley wrote a blog about this, as Dr. Ranganathan has mentioned. But 2 wrongs don't make a right, or we don't have to follow precedent even if you don't believe it was a wrong. Maybe the circumstances were different. I don't know. But viewers, today, democracy cannot be held to ransom. That's the message from the Speaker. I leave it at this. night, viewers.
India gets its 15th president as Draupadi Murmu is sworn in. She becomes the second woman and the first tribal person to become the president of India. She is also the youngest and the first president to be born in independent India. Within 2 weeks of mysterious death of Salem girl student, another Tamil Nadu class 12 student found dead in Thiruvallur school hostel. Protest breaks out against the school.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, a free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A corruption scandal has landed at the doorstep of Mamata Banerjee. Bags full of cash were seized by the Enforcement Directorate when they raided a sitting minister before he was arrested. In fact, Partha Chatterjee, a man close to the party's supremo, is now in ED custody. Over 20 crore rupees stashed in a mountain on the side of a wall was found at his aide's residence. 2,500 rupee notes were recovered from a residence where his aide Arpita Mukherjee lived. Now, that is not the only relationship between Partha and Arpita, who were found where the huge heaps of cash were found. A list of documents seized from Partha Chatterjee's house have revealed his so-called misdeeds as alleged by the Enforcement Directorate. If I take the liberty of a pun, several registry and investment deeds have been found by the ED, and at least 5 of them are in the name of Iche Entertainment, whose director is Arpita Mukherjee. 7 other deeds have been found in Arpita's name. ED is now probing if Partha Chatterjee invested proceeds of the teacher's recruitment scam in Arpita's name. Now, the agency is confident that there is enough evidence of wrongdoing on Partha Chatterjee's part. And perhaps the minister too saw the writing on the wall, which is why right after his arrest, he called the person he trusted most to get him out of his mess. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. 4 late-night calls were made by Partha Chatterjee minutes after his arrest. 3 of them went unanswered and 1 didn't go through, according to the remand note that the ED has put out. And these calls were made at odd hours of the night, 2:32 a.m., 2:33 a.m., 3:37 a.m. and then the last one at 9:35 a.m. which did not go through. It wasn't just Mamata Banerjee who ignored this SOS call. The party too, since his arrest, has been maintaining an arm's length distance. Wait and watch is the approach they have been maintaining. Let the probe happen and then we'll decide on action, has been their response. Has the party dumped Partha Chatterjee? Well, if this minister feels so, perhaps that would explain him clutching at straws and clutching at his chest when he was seen outside AIIMS in Bhubaneswar, where he was taken for treatment by the agency after the intervention of the Kolkata High Court. But it was all for cameras, because not long after, doctors at the prestigious hospital declared him completely fit. Listen in.
So we investigated and we have submitted the report to the Honorable High Court.
So is there any chase pain?
So there was not much of chest pain.
Okay.
So everything which is off, he will be discharged today.
Any kidney problem, sir?
Yeah.
Any kidney
He is a stable condition, and maybe whatever the things he is having due to the chronic illness that he is having. So nothing of in serious nature at this moment to intervene. Let us, we have. That is their diagnosis. I am not going to comment on that. So we have given, submitted. Pardon?
We don't need hospitalization.
Yes. At this moment, we will be discharged.
আমি কোনো অন্যায়কে সাপোর্ট না করেও, ভুল বুঝবেন না, দুর্নীতিকে সাপোর্ট করা তো আমার জীবনের নেশাই নয়, পেশাও নয়। আজকে আমি সত্যিই দুঃখিত এবং মর্মাহত এবং শোকাহত কয়েকটি রাজনৈতিক দলের আচরণে। কিন্তু আমি চাই উইদিন দ্য টাইম ফ্রেম সত্যির বিচার হোক। সত্যিটা যদি কেউ দোষী প্রমাণিত হয়, তাকে যাবজ্জীবন কারাদণ্ড দিলেও আই ডোন্ট মাইন্ড।
Now, while Mamata Didi has spoken today, she had to break her silence after almost 2 days. She did not name Partha Chatterjee, but she spoke of zero tolerance towards corruption. She said, if anyone is found guilty and is jailed for life, I will not take it to heart. So the legitimate question we are asking on the Newshour tonight, can the Trinamool Congress truly distance itself from the Partha scandal? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side. Bengal Cash Haul, that's the hashtag and the debate coming up.
You're watching the Newshour at 9, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Anirban Banerjee, lawyer and political analyst. But my first question goes to Honorable Shaugato Roy, Member of Parliament of the Trinamool Congress. Shaugato da, the big question is, all this while, Partha Chatterjee has been under arrest. He has tried to call Mamata Didi, his leader. The fact that Mamata Didi did not take his calls raises questions, and people are asking questions on why, as soon as he was arrested, was he trying to reach out to Mamata Didi? Number one. And number two, if he's been arrested and he is, as the Trinamool Congress has been saying, being targeted by agencies, then why create a scene? Why admit himself into a hospital? Why allow the Calcutta High Court to come in and transfer him to a hospital in Bhubaneswar, a hospital which has now said that there's nothing wrong with him apart from his chronic illnesses, he just needs to continue his medication. The question I'm asking is, perception shows cash found in envelopes of the minister, and the fact that he's tried to find himself a hospital rather than answering the charges against him. Does that create a perception problem for the Trinamool Congress, Mr. Roy?
It should not. But as the Chief Justice, Mr. Ramanna, said only 2 days ago, the media is running a kangaroo court. It is trying to create perceptions. Whatever has happened, it will go to the court will give a final judgment. You questioned about why Mamata Banerjee did not take her calls. The calls were made at late night. It's quite possible that the Chief Minister may have been sleeping. You ask why did he admit himself to a hospital if a person feels unwell? For the sake of media, he should not try and admit himself to a hospital. He admitted himself to a hospital which is the best hospital in Calcutta. The High Court didn't think it enough. So High Court said that send him by air ambulance to Bhubaneswar AIIMS. He went there. Bhubaneswar AIIMS doctors examined him, sent him back saying that he has no immediate complaints apart from the long-standing chronic problems. So this perception is being created by the media. I'm sorry that Navika, you being a prime TV channel in the country, you are falling prey to these perceptions. Why don't you say this, that what Mamata Banerjee said today, that if you find anybody guilty, hang him, not hang him, send him for life imprisonment. There is no scope for hanging in Prevention of Money Laundering Act. You must know that maximum punishment is 10 years. So give him the maximum punishment, but do a proper investigation, do a trial in record time and punish the person. We'll have nothing to do with such a person. But please, let us not join this war on perceptions. What you feel? Nothing. This is a kangaroo court, media trial. This should be avoided, and especially for a very respectable channel like Times Now, it should not happen. If somebody has done wrong, we are not going to defend the indefensible. Mamata Banerjee did not defend the indefensible. She said that I am not aware of all the facts, how can I comment? And if somebody is found really guilty, you give the maximum punishment that you can give under PMLA. Maximum punishment is 10 years. That's all I have to say.
Well, Shaugato Dada, you know I have the utmost respect for you, your seniority,
yes,
and the fact that you're a very knowledgeable man. I'm just asking, you're charging me that why am I conducting a media trial? And I have the full respect for the Chief Justice who made the observations. Having said that, I'm just asking you, when a load of cash is found, do you want the media to keep quiet, just sit and not raise questions? And these questions are raised by the media, and we are the fourth pillar of the democracy. Maybe we are being bashed a lot these days. I don't know for what reason, but the fact is that when people have questions in their mind and they want to ask and raise these questions, we raise it on their behalf. Is that right? Something that I do not possess, number one. And number two, when you point fingers at us, can you also explain to me the observations made by the Honorable High Court in Calcutta, which said, experience of a common man in SSKM hospital and the way the doctors have treated, people are not happy. Observation 2, many leaders of the ruling party have successfully avoided interrogation by admitting themselves in this hospital. Observation 3, many leaders of the ruling party took shelter in this hospital. Observation 4, they have been discharged from SSKM when found no possibility of interrogation. These are not my statements, Shaugato. These are statements and observations made by the Honorable High Court. Also it said, not impossible for accused to take shelter under the garb of serious illness. Also observation 6, not impossible for accused to evade interrogation. It happens, Lady Justice will be cursed by the tears of thousands. This is also the observation of the Honorable High Court. And it also said, thousands of deserving candidates whose future was sacrificed for money. And it is the last which is the most heart-rending. People who are dying for a naukri, given by the government have to pay? Shouldn't these questions be asked? If I ask these questions, does it become a kangaroo court, Shagotoda?
No, no. Navika, let me start by saying that I have the full respect for the media, including the electronic media, and I have full respect for a very, very competent anchor like you. When you ask questions in your nice, polite voice, one is bound to reply to this. We have mentioned about the amounts of cash found in somebody's house. I say that we have nothing to do with that cash, and that person is not a member of our party. Let the ED find out how the cash came into her possession. Let the ED find out what is the money trail in this case. It is their job. We cannot answer on behalf of the ED, and we say that we have nothing to do with the cash. TMC as a party, Mamata Banerjee has herself clarified. Secondly, you say that the High Court made such and such observation about SSKM hospital. I find that the High Courts in this country are being prone to pontification. They are giving lectures to all and sundry. The comments by High Court have no legal validity. It's only when they pass a final order that has some value. Many people have objected to the Supreme Court comments when they commented on the Nupur Sharma case, because the courts in their wisdom or lack of wisdom think that they are the ultimate arbiter. They can sit on a high pedestal and lecture to everybody. No. High Court, SSKM hospital is a hospital trusted by lakhs of people in the state. Every day people are vying to get an admission. So the comment of the High Court is not justified. And as you know, the law, I understand, says that you cannot attribute motive to a court judgment. But these are comments, and I totally deny the comment of the High Court on the SSKM hospital. I am not saying that you personally are leading a media trial or holding a kangaroo court. I am saying that yes, anybody who has caused the shedding of tears by poor unemployed people ought to be punished, ought to be found out, discovered, punished. And the maximum harshest punishment allowable under law, you can't give life imprisonment in a PMLA case, nor can you give death sentence in a PMLA case, but the maximum punishment should go to them. I have no objection. But I will say that while this is going on, please do not clutch at straws. A stray comment by High Court here or there should not be construed as the gospel truth.
Well,
the truth, let it come out. Let it come out. Where the mounds of cash were discovered, it was very nasty sight. It shocked me.
Well, it's a matter concerning. I'm coming to you, but I'm coming to you, Shehzad Poonawalla.
I will also take.
He's a senior man. He's making a point.
We are all equals on this panel. This is not. This is a republic, and this is a democratic debate. I am as equally. I am the opposition in West Bengal. I have a right. You will give me also 8-9 minutes.
Yes, I will give you time. I will give you time. But the only point, and I'm coming to you.
You do not belong to West Bengal.
I belong to the people. I belong to this country. My party
belong to maybe Maharashtra or Gujarat.
No, 1 second, Navika, let's get the format of this debate right.
Why did you put somebody from West Bengal?
1 minute. 1 minute. Allow me to moderate, Shehzad Poonawalla ji. Allow me to moderate.
I will take 8 minutes to make my speech also.
Well,
You gave him 8 minutes. I've seen it. BJP also deserves 8 minutes. Unless you don't want to do that, that's another issue.
Well,
I will speak now. Thank you.
I'll come to
so
you.
Navika,
and
let me begin.
But let me just say one fact. I just want to correct Shogotoda. Shogotoda, you said observations and pontifications by the court are not the gospel truth. May I just put on record the fact that I'm holding the order of the Kolkata High Court in my hand, and these pointers are written in the order. They are not part of any oral observations, unlike the Nupur Sharma case, which were oral observations. Just putting that fact on record. But Shehzad Poonawalla, the proof of the pudding will be in the proving. Right now it's a raid, right now it's just an arrest. The matter will have to go to court, and in the court it would have to be proved. The question that has been raised on several occasions is that so far conviction rates are rather low in many of the cases that the BJP has taken up since 2014. Is this yet another case of that kind?
Can I answer? Yes. And I hope I won't be interrupted. You gave the last gentleman 9 minutes to speak, and therefore I'll start now. First of all, the diagnosis of a medical report has come, and the diagnosis is positive for TMC, too much corruption, tons and mountains of cash, and too much coincidence. And let me put one by one what is this coincidence. Here is the picture. You have it. You can show it on your screen also. This is the picture of the Minister of Education, West Bengal government. His envelope is lying with the piles of cash in Arpita Mukherjee's house. This is Arpita Mukherjee on the front row of a TMC function for 21st July, wearing the patka of the TMC. Here is a picture of the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal praising, saying very good work being done by Arpita Mukherjee in presence of Partha Chatterjee, and this is the statement of Mamata Banerjee. No, one second.
I have that soundbite. I will play it.
I'll use my 9 minutes in my discussion. It's my 9 minutes. I can use it the way I want. No, I'm coming.
Okay.
Don't break my flow. You did not break his flow. Let me complete. Then after that, you have today the seizure report.
Let me make one thing clear. On the debate, on the Newshour, I set the rules.
All right.
Okay?
So I wish the rules could have been set with him also. But anyways, let me then come to the seizure report that has been shown by Times now. The seizure report shows the misdeeds of Mr. Partha Chatterjee, how the deeds in the names of Arpita were found in his house. The arrest memo also shows another story. Now I am asking some specific questions to Mr. Saugata Roy. First of all, in the light of this evidence, the envelopes, the pictures, the videos, and the observations of, not the observations, the findings of the Calcutta High Court Division Bench that this was a public scam, 8 CBI probes were ordered. Is this vendetta? You can call media as media trial, or you can ask other questions on, say, ED is doing vendetta politics, but Calcutta High Court Division Bench said that this is a public scam. And by the way, your other minister, Mr. Adhikari, his daughter's appointment was cancelled. So what do you have to say to that? Has Mr. Adhikari been taken action upon? I don't think so. And what is the TMC's history? We have seen the TMC's history: Rose Valley scam, SSC scam, coal scam, cut money scam. This is the history. In fact, if they had nothing to hide and they had nothing to do with the scam, why were they trying to pressurize Justice Gangopadhyay, the single judge of the High Court, who had to then eventually write to the higher-ups and say that this is happening to me? So these are the facts that they will not answer on. Now I have also got a statement of Ms. Mamata Banerjee actually challenging the court and saying this.
এবং আমি জানি বিচার ব্যবস্থার উপর বিজেপির প্রভাব এখন কতটা আছে সেটাও আমি জানি এবং আমি জানি বিচার ব্যবস্থার
For those who are not aware of Bengali, I'll translate what she has said. I have faith on the judiciary. I also know how much influence BJP has at present on the judiciary. Does Saugata Roy, a respected parliamentarian, accept the statement of the Chief Minister of Bengal that the BJP or any party has influence on the judiciary? Is the double judge bench order because of the influence of the BJP? Saugata Roy ji, I hope you are writing these down, because you are the president.
1 minute, you've raised a few questions. Allow Dada. No, you've sought answers. Allow Saugata Da to answer before I proceed. Saugata Da.
Yes, Mr. Poonawalla, it would be good if you are from Bengal, if some BJP representative from Bengal was put. Anyway, how
is that relevant to this debate?
Of the big scams under BJP.
Any representative of any party which is in the opposition can come in.
It's a fight between Bengalis and outsiders represented by the BJP.
Sir,
this is your senior parliamentarian.
Shaugato Da, I'm a Punjabi born in Bengal. Am I an outsider? Am I an outsider? I want to know from you. I was born in Barakpur in Bengal. Am I an outsider?
I'm very happy to know that. As MP from Barakpur at one time, so I'm very happy to that Barakpur has produced such wonderful anchors. Now I am mentioning the scams. The DHFL scam.
No.
1 minute.
Answers to my questions, madam. I've asked him about Adhikari, High Court order, Mamata Banerjee statement, he accused me of being an outsider.
You mentioned many scams.
Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya,
1 minute.
Answer the questions of the opposition.
All scams.
Shehzad Poonawalla, I think
again,
apart from your political career, you must be a television anchor as well.
I was in my former job, but now I'm in a political.
Well, so don't try to take my job. Because as it is, employment is an issue in this country.
It is
1 minute.
In
1
issue
minute.
in West Bengal.
1 minute.
Has been done.
Can
youngsters were deprived of
Can I have Shehzad Poonawalla, please? We'll have to have 1 minute. Shaugato Da, my question straightforward to you is, Arpita Mukherjee, who you say has nothing to do with the party, was on front row of the 21st July rally, as pointed out by Mr. Shehzad Poonawalla. Would you want to respond to that?
No, I pointed out envelopes also.
And the envelopes.
Report also.
And the envelopes.
No,
those questions I've asked. Those questions I've asked.
I was in the front row of the...
Yes.
I was in the front row of the rally on 21st July. I did not notice anybody called Arpita Mukherjee. I hadn't seen her earlier. So I am again repeating. She has nothing to do with TMC. Whoever she is connected with personally, I do not know. I do not know the woman. I do not think.
Adhikari's daughter's
appointment. Okay, Adhikari's daughter's appointment is the question raised by Shehzad.
And Adhikari, yes, Adhikari's daughter's appointment was cancelled. One person was employed in her place, and Adhikari about him will take a political decision. It was wrong done, but the wrong has been righted.
You snatched the
now,
from a poor
what have you done about the Matam scam, Mr. Poonawalla?
On the basis of
what about the
convenience?
All right, 1 minute, Shehzad Poonawalla, 1 minute.
He took 18 minutes.
He was involved.
1 minute. You want answers from him, don't you?
What about Yediyurappa, who was arrested for mining scam?
We'll answer that. Extend the debate beyond 10 p.m. I'll answer all that. What is the action on Adhikari? Let's ask the action on Adhikari. Why no action on Adhikari when High Court dismissed the appointment made by for his daughter?
Action on Adhikari is
what?
His daughter was dismissed.
No action on Adhikari. He misused his position. He was MOS Education. He's still being rewarded as a minister and as a senior leader of TMC. Tell me the action. And I'm not from West Bengal, but I can feel for the children and students of West Bengal. Much more than you, because I follow Rabindranath Tagore.
By a BJP leader from outside Bengal.
You have that resort. That's the last resort of somebody who has
all right, I'm getting in Tehseen Poonawalla.
But you have seen how he has resorted to this kind of politics.
Well, it is not for me to judge. It is for the viewers to judge. It is for the viewers to judge. Neither can you judge nor can I judge. It is for the people of India to judge whether they are satisfied with answers given or not. Tehseen Poonawalla, I want to ask you a straightforward question.
Yes.
The question here is that cash has been found. A minister has been arrested. The minister wanted to declare himself unwell. The court had to intervene. Now the minister is okay. I want to ask you, can he continue as the minister? Because so far, 3 days later, he hasn't been sacked, he hasn't stepped down, there is no resignation. I want to ask you, has propriety died a silent death in this country? There were times when people like Lal Bahadur Shastri used to resign when there was a rail accident.
Correct.
Is propriety dead now?
Propriety, if you ask me, is propriety dead? That question should be asked to the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson.
I'll ask you a counter question.
Sir,
have you asked?
Sir, may I please come in?
This question to Arvind Kejriwal.
Sir, may I please?
Satyendra Jain has been arrested and kept in custody.
That's all right.
For 2 months he's not got bail.
Sir, she's asking the other brother who's on
few months.
anti-BJP.
2 months he's not been given bail and yet Kejriwal says
Shaugatodar, this is the other brother, other Poonawala from the Congress side. So you can abuse him for putting up a candidate for vice presidential elections without checking with you. But this is the other Poonawala. Yes.
No, we shall not abuse him. Why should we? Why should we?
Kind of.
It's a good Poonawala, bad Poonawala.
No, there's a good Tathagata Roy and there's a bad Saugata Roy also. There's a good Tathagata Roy
and there's a bad Tathagata Roy. This is not about family. Let's not get derailed. I want to ask you, should Partha Chatterjee have been removed from his position by now? Number one, before we get into cash kiska hai, what is the connection to Partha Chatterjee, how did poor people, instead of getting jobs, had to pay, all those are secondary questions. He's still the minister.
Well, that's a question that should somebody have stepped down following Lal Bahadur Shastri. Yes, but when Mr. Modi was Chief Minister of Gujarat, Babubhai Bokaria was convicted and Mr. Modi continued him as minister even after he had a 3-year conviction. So these standards that Mr. Modi today claims to live up to, he himself has downgraded those standards. So, I mean, you know, the Lok Ayukta, he went to Supreme Court against the Lok Ayukta, Mr. Modi. So Mr. Modi and the Bharatiya Janata Party are definitely not torchbearers of holding high esteem. Is Mr. Partha Chatterjee guilty or not guilty? The answer to that is if he joins the BJP like Himanta Biswa Sharma, who was in the Sharda scam, he would be not guilty. Today he is not in the BJP, so he is guilty. You know, the BJP spokesperson talks about the highest standard. What happened to Vyapam where people committed suicide? The conviction rate of enforcement directed is 0.6%. So the legal answer to that. There were the Jain diaries where you had Mr. Advani and various politicians' name, not guilty. There was the Sahara diary where you had himself, the Honorable Prime Minister's name, not guilty. These letters have been found. Who knows who's planted them?
But my friend, you are carrying a diary, and in that you may have written my name, you may have written 30 names, 50.
It's not guilty.
Okay, so it's not guilty. Here we are talking of mounds of cash, and Ishkaran Bhandari, mounds of cash, and they're saying, why are you asking questions? Why is the media conducting a trial? There are mounds of cash, and where did they get this? After all, they didn't go there. The ED did not go there to raid Arpita Mukherjee. They went to Partha Chatterjee's house. They found some indications and linkages on a, I don't know, on a piece of paper or on some evidence, and then from there found some links and went and raided Arpita Mukherjee's house and then found cash over there. Now, nobody is wanting to ask or answer the question, ye cash aaya kahan se? And what about those envelopes carrying the Minister of Education's name? Nobody is answering that question.
No, Navika ji, one thing more in this case which your audience must be wanting to know. See the audacity of corruption. It is not as if it was a sudden raid on Partha Chatterjee. This was ongoing for a few months. He had joined investigation on 18th May and 25th May. Still, either the cash was so much and which has not been fully found that they could not dispose of 21 crores which remained, or the audacity was
21
so much
crores, 90 lakhs.
90 lakhs, that's what I'm saying. He is under investigation. It is not a sudden raid on him. He had approached high courts. He had joined investigation. So after knowing that you are under investigation, your close aid is found with 21 crores and 90 lakh rupees lying like garbage there. So either the money was so much more that everything could not be raid, or the audacity was so much, the arrogance of power was so much that you thought you would never be caught. So you had red, smoking, absolute evidence lying in piles of cash at your home, which unless it's a case ED had the money and ED planted the money, which is nobody's case.
That's
so second part.
That's exactly the case.
If you think.
That's exactly the case. How do you know it's
So ED
come out with these stories numerous times. I've been with Navika ji, Ishkaran. They said they found 9 crores in somebody's house, turns out to be 9 lakhs. What is ED's conviction rate?
Let me see.
Oh, so ED carried the cash, put all those heaps of cash
Then demonetization failed.
Let me answer.
You decide what is the charge.
Let me
What
answer
is
this.
the charge?
ED
Is
cannot be
it
trusted.
is the charge against
Navika ji, I
the
need to
ED that
finish
they
my point.
planted this
This
cash,
is in the
or is
realms
your
of
charge
ridiculous.
demonetization is a failure? Choose fast.
Demonetization is a failure. BJP is
Navika
using it
ji,
to
can I
frame other
finish my
people
point
with
first?
the ED.
Can I just come
I
in?
mean-
Navika ji, can I finish my point
One
first?
minute. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Ishwar.
Navika ji, if Tehseen can remain in Alice in Wonderland, he can think Rahul Gandhi is the next Prime Minister of India. That is all allowed to somebody to imagine anything he wants to imagine. But let's deal with facts. We have 21 crore cash caught. It is not just a news item, it is visible, and your screen is showing in middle of Tehseen and me. That is the amount of cash found. So it is obvious that it was lying there. Second aspect, not only that, it has been said the observations of High Court observes a lot of things. This is not an observation. There is a difference between observation and what the High Court or any court writes down in order. The High Court has ordered that the person be taken away from a medical institute and go to AIIMS, and the AIIMS has found the person was perfectly fine. So see the level of influence being exercised in this case, where under scanner you can get a favorable medical report, where under scanner you either don't dispose all your money or there is too much money you can't dispose it. This is what we are dealing, and we have MP MLA courts. I do hope, this point I do agree, that ED goes for a very rapid trial and finishes this case very fast, because that would be very important to ensure justice. Otherwise, Tehseen-like stories will keep coming that it was all planned.
I want to respond in one line. Just allow me one line, only one line.
Navika.
Ishkaran, I was with Navika when ED came out with a press release saying they found 9 crores in somebody's house at pictures.
Let me
Turns
answer
out to be 9 lakh rupees.
Let me answer.
ED has a
please.
habit of doing it and therefore
me
gets no
All
conviction.
right.
Let me answer.
I'm putting this on
One,
record.
it's show me the case before you make.
Let me answer this. Let me answer
DK
this.
Shiv Kumar's case.
Let me answer this. First of all, this is not 21 rupees, it's 21 crores. In 40 trunks it was taken out.
21 crore, 90 lakhs.
22 crores, 40 trunks. So is he saying that Arpita Mukherjee did not realize that 40 trunks were planted in his house? Point number one. They must be having one video, and if Tehseen Poonawalla sitting here knows, then obviously they have proof. They can go to a court and get it. In 8 years, did they get even one case where it was proven that there was ED or CBI was acting like a cage parrot, like it was in UPA? Secondly, I want to ask a simple question to my dear friend. Tehseen spoke about Bokria. Bokria's conviction was stayed. I'll show you the Indian Express report right now. Only
That was much later.
No, it was
When
not
he
much
was in
later.
jail. That was in High Court.
Let's have one at a time. This
Fair
was his conviction was stayed. Point number 3. Get a stay on this conviction. Get a stay on this order also. Thirdly, I am asking Mr. Roy specifically because he is the party that needs to answer what action on Adhikari who was indicted by the court for giving his daughter a job that a person in West Bengal deserved. And fourthly, Mr. Roy, if I can't answer questions, ask questions of you here because I'm outside Bengal, then what Adhikar you had to go to Goa? Say that you were wrong in going to Goa. Are you a Goa-based party?
Okay.
Is Mamata Banerjee a Goan?
Shagatoda.
It is shameful that somebody who's in parliament used that argument.
Shagatoda.
And this is the most unconstitutional argument.
You know, Shehzad, the fact is, as I said, people will make that judgment.
The point Navika is trying to make was that the attack by BJP on TMC is an attack by outsiders on people of Bengal. Bengalis versus outsiders. This is the...
Subhendu Adhikari.
But is that your best defense? Shagatoda, is that your best defense? As an Indian, can I not question what's going on in West Bengal or Kerala or Tamil Nadu or Andhra Pradesh? Can I not raise a question just because I live in Delhi?
Navika,
then what Adhikar they have to go to in Goa?
Navika, if a lovely uncle like you questions me on Bengal, I shall be delighted. But not tendentious questioning. I answered earlier that Paresh Adhikari,
the Adhikari question. What action has been taken against Mr. Adhikari and what action will be taken against Partho Chatterjee, who continues to be a minister under arrest?
We have taken action against the daughter. No, we have taken action against the daughter.
No, the court took action. You took no action. It was 18th of May. One second, ma'am. One second, ma'am.
The court annulled her admission, and you took no action.
On 18th May 2022.
Absolutely, you took no action. Shagatoda, once in a while, introspection does give a few answers. People don't have...
What action?
No, but two wrongs.
What action did BJP take against Yediyurappa? They bought a scam man
regionalism? Now what else? Victim vote card? Fourth card is what?
Sir,
answer the question.
Two wrongs make a right, but my last question to Anirban Banerjee.
What action has
Anirban
been taken
Banerjee,
against...
I just want to ask you one last question, and that question is, can the Trinamool Congress distance itself from this scandal? Can it?
The very clear stance of the TMC on this case is that let the court, the trial court, by the way, decide on whatever claims the ED is making. Is that a very bad demand to make? I think not. The
And in
ED,
the meanwhile,
for example, in the Naroda case,
the
has
minister
been conducting
continues
the
as the
investigation
minister.
for the last 8 years. The Sharoda case is even older. So let the ED complete, unless and until our rule of law in our country has been replaced by media and social media trials, I think we should wait for the trial court's judgment to come in this case.
Very
is the
well.
TMC very wrong in expecting the trial court to decide?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe the Chief Justice. I'm running out of time. Maybe the Chief Justice.
In Taney's case, was the minister convicted by any court? In अपना case conviction के लिए रुक जाओ trial court के. पर बाकी के cases में पहले ही इस्तीफा मांग लो.
The fact of the matter is, we as the media are the favorite whipping boys of everybody, from the courts to the political parties to governments in power in various states. Well, be our guest. But the fact of the matter is, you may want to call this trial by the media. But I, as a journalist for the last 30 years, will continue to ask the questions, and I will continue to demand answers for those who deserve answers in this country, which is the people of India. The people of India demand these answers, and we will continue to try and get them these answers, because that is my duty as a journalist. Thank you very much. Taking a short break, the other debate coming up on the other side.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break. 9.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today was a historic day for India. A daughter of the country's tribal population took oath as the highest constitutional position in this country. A Dalit president handing over the baton to India's first president from the scheduled tribes. And I was present in Parliament. And it was a scene that would give anybody goosebumps as the Chief Justice of India gave the oath to the new president, and the former president made way and welcomed the new president to her seat. Murmu has been a source of inspiration for many young Indians as she took office today. Her appointment has reduced the metaphorical gap between the country's power circles and the back of beyond villages that hope for a better tomorrow. These villages, occupied by these scheduled tribes, today would have felt the distance reducing between their villages and Raisina Hill. But even this watershed moment, as the Prime Minister described it, was not without controversy. Congress members of Parliament, both in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, wrote a letter alleging deliberate insult to Mallikarjun Kharge during the event. They alleged that Kharge was seated in the corner by the central government, and that he was not given the protocol that his stature as a leader of opposition deserved. Now take a look at these images on your screens. 10 years ago, when Pranab Mukherjee was taking oath as the President of India, the then leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Arun Jaitley, the late Mr. Arun Jaitley, was seated in exactly the same arrangement. Hours after the Parliament got down to business, or at least tried to, there was complete pandemonium on the floor of the House. Proceedings in the Parliament have been suffering since the monsoon session began. Last week, with slogans being raised against the centre, the members of Parliament running into the well of the House, holding signs in protest, in fact, placards in protest. But today was the last straw for the Lok Sabha Speaker. 4 members of Parliament of the Congress party have now been suspended for the remainder of the Parliament session after repeated warnings by the Speaker went unheard. Even the Prime Minister sent a subtle but a firm message to his opponents. India first, ideologies later. Listen in.
दल का विरोध, व्यक्ति का विरोध, देश के विरोध में न बदलें। विचारधाराओं का अपना स्थान है और होना भी चाहिए। राजनीतिक महत्वाकांक्षाएं तो हो सकती हैं, लेकिन देश सबसे पहले है, समाज सबसे पहले है, राष्ट्र प्रथम है।
So the legitimate question we are asking on the Newshour tonight: who's devaluing democracy? That's the question and the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining the debate with Shehzad Poonawala, Tehseen Poonawala and Ishkaran Bhandari is senior journalist Ashutosh. Ashutosh, who would you blame? Placards being brought up, and if I give you the figures of the amount of work that has happened, 16% of parliamentary activity in Lok Sabha last week, 10% on day 1, 8% day 2, 15% day 3, 30% day 4 and 17% on day 5. That's the last week of Parliament. Do you think this can carry on? And if the Speaker in the House is not allowed to conduct the House, who do you think is to be blamed?
Obviously, the government at the centre has to be blamed. And I'm quoting Sushma Swaraj verbatim, September 2012. When Sushma Swaraj said, anyway, it is the government job to run the parliament, not that of the opposition. So the similar medicine, I think the BJP is getting now. And not only the Sushma Swaraj, but also the late and the great leader, Mr. Arun Jaitley, has also said the similar thing. He said the disruption of the House is also a part of democratic process. So now if BJP is in the government and Congress party in opposition, so obviously they are using the same tactics which the BJP did. But the point today is, I think it's a very harsh punishment which has been given to these member of parliaments. And if somebody had gone by the similar logic, then the entire monsoon session which was washed out in 2012, all the member of parliament from the BJP would have been suspended for the entire session. I think it's very harsh, and I think Speaker should understand that opposition has a right to protest. And carrying a placard, I don't think it's something which deserves such great punishment. Even you go to the London, you go to the Britain Parliament, even the similar tactics are used. The member of parliament, they go to the well, they raise their slogans, they use placards, but I don't think they meet such harsh punishment.
शहजाद पूनावाला।
संविधान, संसद, सेना का अपमान कांग्रेस की एकलौती पहचान, क्योंकि महंगाई बहाना है, संसद अटकाना है, राहुल गांधी को भाग जाना है, इनको सिर्फ संसद को हॉस्टेज बनाना है। और मैं आपको बताता हूं, क्योंकि इनको विवाद चाहिए, संवाद नहीं चाहिए, इनको डिसरप्शन चाहिए, इनको डिस्कशन नहीं चाहिए, इनको कॉन्फ्रंटेशन चाहिए, कॉन्वर्जेशन नहीं चाहिए, और इनको केवल फर्जी मुद्दे लाना है। इनके मुद्दे क्या है? मुद्दों की कंगाली आपने देखी।
फर्जी मुद्दे जीएसटी और महंगाई फर्जी है?
फर्जी नहीं है वो, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ। जयराम रमेश जी जब से आए उनके मुद्दे बता रहा हूँ। शेर गुस्सा क्यों है? बैन वर्ड क्यों हो गया, जो एक्सपेंस लिस्ट की श्रेणी में आया था? धरना बैन क्यों हो गया, वो झूठ साबित हुआ? ईडी इन्वेस्टिगेट क्यों कर रही है करप्ट को? और फिर आखिरी वाला कि खड़गे जी को साइड में क्यों बिठाया? ये है तस्वीर। अरुण जेटली जी, स्वर्गीय अरुण जेटली जी को वहीं बिठाया जहां पर खड़गे जी को उल्टा उनके लिए आगे व्यवस्था करने की कोशिश भी की गई। और सैटरडे का जो फंक्शन था वहां तो प्रधानमंत्री के पास बिठाया था, पर वो गए नहीं। मतलब कि उन्होंने किस प्रकार से अपमान किया राष्ट्रपति का। परंतु सवाल ये है नाविका जी, ये कहते हैं ना, ये देखिए मैं तो आशुतोष जी की बहुत प्रशंसा करता हूं, परंतु वो आधा सत्य इनके सत्य हिंदी जो है ना, उसको आधा सत्य हिंदी बना देना चाहिए। क्योंकि जब 12 एमएलए भाजपा के उनको सस्पेंड किया गया, किस लिए? महाराष्ट्र में, क्योंकि उन्होंने प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर के चेंबर में कुछ बोला, तब इन्होंने उसका समर्थन किया और उसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उस सस्पेंशन को निरस्त किया। पर यहां पर, और टाइम्स नाउ की एक्सक्लूसिव स्टोरी थी नाविका जी, ये किस प्रकार से ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट है, थोड़ा सा प्रिंट आउट, पर किस प्रकार से मार्शल को पीटा गया। टेबल पर खड़े होने का काम भी लंदन की पार्लियामेंट, यूके की पार्लियामेंट में होता है क्या? आपने देखा? ये बाजवा जी की तस्वीर है। बाजवा जी खड़े हो गए थे पार्लियामेंट में और फिर वो बुक फेंक रहे थे। ये पता नहीं कौन से वेस्टमिनिस्टर मॉडल को देखकर आए होंगे। अच्छा, इनको सिलेक्टिव हिंदी भी बोल सकते हैं। सत्य हिंदी को अर्ध सत्य हिंदी और फिर सिलेक्टिव हिंदी क्यों बोल सकते हैं? क्योंकि स्वर्गीय अरुण जेटली जी ने कब बोला था? जब आया था और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के बाद भी ये लोग डिस्कशन करने को तैयार नहीं थे, तब उन्होंने ये स्टेटमेंट किया था। परंतु एक स्वर्गीय व्यक्ति के बारे में भी झूठ बोलना, ये अर्ध सत्य हिंदी का लक्ष्य हो सकता है। ये मनमोहन सिंह का बयान, हाउएवर, वी शुड आल्सो पुट ऑन द टेबल ऑफ टाइम्स नाउ दिस बयान इज, ऑपोजिशन शुड नॉट डिस्टर्ब पार्लियामेंट, दे शुड कोऑपरेट विद गवर्नमेंट टू रन द हाउस। मनमोहन सिंह का, तो मनमोहन सिंह को भी तो लीडर मानते होंगे आशुतोष जी, उन्हीं की पार्टी से है। सॉरी, अच्छा सॉरी, आप प्रवक्ता नहीं है, सॉरी।
तहसीन पूनावाला, I want to ask you, what is suffering in all of this? The debate on issues that concern the public? Because tomorrow again you will be very busy. Because Sonia Gandhi has to go back to Enforcement Directorate. So there will be no members of parliament in Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. They'll be on the streets. Right. So tomorrow also no discussion. Today also no discussion. Who's suffering?
Allow me to answer each of those things. The BJP that got cash inside parliament, shamelessly bought cash inside parliament, today I have an objection to placards inside parliament. Arun Jaitley ji said this, and you know this, that he will not allow the government to discuss and have discussions in parliament because it's a right of the opposition to stop discussions in parliament. Today, please, can I please, don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. You're not aligned the views. You're not aligned the views. The fact is, they want to talk about GST. Where is it on the list of business? They don't put it on the list of business. When the MPs are
simply because it has been brought to your notice that the finance minister is down with COVID and she will respond to that.
The finance minister is down. The prime minister cannot come in the house and speak. The prime minister doesn't understand the economy, so he can't come in the house and speak. Let me put one thing. He put out a picture of Bajwa ji. Do you know Bajwa ji is my friend? Bajwa ji was not suspended suspended. You know why Bajwa ji was not suspended? Because they are Punjab elections. They didn't suspend Bajwa ji, they are using his pictures. This is the hypocrisy of the bada jhoota party, the Bharatiya Janata Party.
देखिए मैं इनको कहता हूँ ये ऑल इंडिया कंफ्यूज कांग्रेस है. ऑल इंडिया कंफ्यूज कांग्रेस क्यों?
अरे गुली झोल पार्टी, आप गुली झोल पार्टी हो.
1 minute करने की कोशिश करते हैं. Is this an abbreviation competition?
कांग्रेस पार्टी इज डिसाइडिंग बिटवीन आशुतोष एंड तहसीन किसको राज्यसभा भेजना है.
1 minute.
मैं कुछ रख रहा हूँ नाविका जी के.
Did you bring cash inside Parliament? Why?
Because
no, you don't bring it inside Parliament.
Anyways, now let me answer the question. After they stall the house and waste 55 crores, Jairam Ramesh नए बने हैं, ये ट्वीट करते हैं, today the opposition led by Congress got the Rajya Sabha adjourned for the day on urgent issue. मतलब, is this a matter of pride? This is his tweet. I know he does not like this tweet to be shown, but this is the proof of how you are trying to take the house hostage. If you are so bothered about discussion on GST, tell us who was the person in GST Council.
Ishkaran Bhandari, is there anything to choose from as far as stalling of the house is concerned? I mean, everybody is citing examples. What happened when the BJP was in opposition is what's happening today. Who's the loser? Who's paying? Who's picking up the tab for these lost hours? You and me, my friend.
Now, Navika ji, the problem is bigger than stalling the parliament. Then the message goes, if you don't like a law, like Shaheen Bagh, stall the roads. If you don't like the law, burn the trains. If you don't like the law, remove the railway tracks. That is the message which goes when people see that the parliament gets stalled on the whims and fancies of a party which is in opposition. And I agree with just one part of Ashutosh. It's the duty of the government to run the parliament. So they are suspending people who are making it impossible to run the parliament, whether it be a schoolroom, whether it be a college, whether it be a news studio, whether it be a parliament. If you make it impossible for a debate to occur, you will tell people to leave. Similarly, that is what you have to do in order to make the parliament run after repeated warnings. I am not in favor of doing it in the first go, but after repeated warnings, if you don't allow a parliament to function, they have to take action to make it function. Simple as that.
Well, the last count in 2012, there was a figure of running parliament. The cost to the exchequer is 2.5 crore one day. Think about the number of days that is lost. And that's the money the taxpayers pay. They don't get a tax break for this because they are not in parliament. They're outside just watching this tamasha while political brownie points are being scored between the treasury benches and the opposition benches. We, the people of India, are being held hostage. Who's responsible is a question people of this country will have to decide. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night. Be safe.
You were watching the Newshour at 9. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. It's been 3 days since the man considered to be number 3 in the West Bengal government and the Trinamool Congress was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the teachers' recruitment scam. Partha Chatterjee today even tried to pull the hospital trick citing ill health, but it came to naught. The Enforcement Directorate today told the court that while the scam-accused minister has chronic health issues, he requires no hospitalization. Citing a medical report from AIIMS Bhubaneswar, the ED said that Chatterjee is taking advantage of his position to stay in a state-run hospital. But why would Partha Chatterjee want to stay away from the law? His deeds are now only beginning to unravel. That's why. Sources have told Times Now that foreign trips by Partha Chatterjee's friend Arpita are under the scanner for possible Hawala transactions and being in touch with those who help her launder the money. Also, registry and investment documents have been allegedly found where deals have been done in the name of Arpita. Today, as the probe got deeper into the role of Partha Chatterjee in planning and perpetuating a scam that deprived scores of people in West Bengal their hard-earned jobs and subsequently laundering that money through Hawala transactions, Mamata Banerjee was again under a spotlight. Would Didi, who refused to take calls from her one closest aide, not just stop at distancing herself, but actually manage to sack him? Here's what she said.
আমি কোনো অন্যায়কে সাপোর্ট না করেও ভুল বুঝবেন না, দুর্নীতিকে সাপোর্ট করা তো আমার জীবনের নেশাই নয়, পেশাও নয়। আজকে আমি সত্যিই দুঃখিত এবং মর্মাহত এবং শোকাহত কয়েকটি রাজনৈতিক দলের আচরণে, কিন্তু আমি চাই উইদিন দ্য টাইম ফ্রেম সত্যির বিচার হোক। সত্যিটা যদি কেউ দোষী প্রমাণিত হয় তাকে যাবজ্জীবন কারাদণ্ড দিলেও আই ডোন্ট মাইন্ড।
Now, Mamata Banerjee tried her best to distance herself from Partha Chatterjee. But is it as simple as that? Can he continue to remain a minister and everyone expects that the probe will go on unscathed? Here is what the Enforcement Directorate underlined while they were arguing for the tainted Mantri's custody. They spoke of how he is misusing his power and position. The Enforcement Directorate not only spoke of how sale deals show how the minister has bought properties jointly with Arpita Mukherjee, but also of how multiple efforts have been made to subvert the process of justice. Believe it or not, the ED argued that the minister has remained uncooperative throughout. He even refused to sign the arrest memo. 2 applications were made behind the back of the investigators, and here is the more damaging part. The ED argued that when in SSKM hospital, Partha Chatterjee threatened and abused the investigating officers. In fact, on one occasion, a black car brushed up against the vehicle that was carrying Arpita. The insinuation is clear that there is an effort to not just threaten and intimidate, but even try and cause physical harm. Under the spotlight, under scrutiny again, remains Minister Partha Chatterjee and the person who is allowing his continuance in office, Mamata Banerjee. Can Didi distance herself from Partha Chatterjee and his acts and yet allow him to continue in office?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, we have Gokul Chandran, political analyst, Professor Manojit Mandal, spokesperson of Trinamool Congress, Gargi Nandi Roy, political analyst. My first question is to you, Rakesh Sinha, member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha. Mamata Banerjee today says everyone will have to defend themselves. I've got nothing to do with this. Partha Chatterjee will explain. Arpita Mukherjee will explain. Let the ED investigate. What's the problem?
I think this is the most ridiculous statement by the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee. She is one of the persons who went to stage dharna at the CBI office. She arrested 4 CBI officers in May 2021 when they went to investigate the Narda case. So if that was the case, that stand, how the stand changes? Here, because the 21 crore rupees seized The money, this is money of loot and plunder of the poor people of the West Bengal. Now Chief Minister is distancing. Partha Chatterjee was so close to her. Does she not know that how he was earning the money? How it was coming to her? She is on record. Praised Arpita Ghosh. This means that Trinamool Congress is deeply sunk in the corruption. Entire party, entire government is trying to do what, that's why the wretched condition of West Bengal. The poor people are suffering, and therefore I think that these corruption charges exposes Mamata Banerjee, her party and her government. Her claim of the good governance is now exposed.
Okay, Professor Manojit Mandal, you have Mamata Banerjee not picking up Partha Chatterjee's call. So clearly there is some malfeasance that she also suspects. Then why is he still in the West Bengal Council of Ministers? How can he continue?
No, first of all, I mean, I thought that the person who became a member of parliament through the back door by continuously abusing Mamta for the last 5 years, I've been debating with him since 2017, will change after he became the member of parliament, calling the chief minister ridiculous in a statement without understanding the language and without understanding the spirit. I'm ashamed of the fact that I'm still debating with the same person, though he has become a member of the parliament. Sorry for that. Point number 2, it is amply clear, if you understand Bengali, we have got nothing to, as a party, we have got nothing to do with the money or the individuals who are arrested. If they have done anything on their own capacity, they will defend, they will answer to the court. But you cannot be selective, you cannot have two double standards. When your government in Haryana,
principally, what is the position of the Trinamool Congress? Has Partha Chatterjee done anything wrong? Yes or no?
Father and son are in jail.
Has Partha Chatterjee done anything wrong? Yes or no?
Am I investigating? Neither you are investigating. Okay, so in the investigating agency, let them come up with single document, concrete evidence that he has got some complicity with the money or the quote.
That's a great point you have made. You are not investigating, I am not investigating, but the people who are investigating, here is what they said.
No,
listen to me, Professor Mandal. The investigators, which is the Enforcement Directorate, here is what they said. And they said it in court, so it's matter of court record. Here is what the Enforcement Directorate said. When Partha Chatterjee was in SSKM, he threatened our officers and abused them. All of this is recorded. We will show it at a correct time. He is using his power. The doctor said our officers have to leave the room so that Partha Chatterjee can make a telephone call. Sir, he is using his power because you are giving him that power. He is in custody of ED and he is telling them that he is threatening and abusing them. And investigators are saying, I'm not saying.
Don't have be walked up. I'll answer the question. Listen to it. Listen to it. If he has got this, file an FIR against him. You have got the record. File an FIR. This is intimidation. Clear violation of the rule. You are deliberately obstructing the investigation. This is illegal. File an FIR.
But they will file an FIR. Why are you keeping him as a minister? You do realize, Professor Mandal, that any random person cannot threaten the ED. Tomorrow, if some lay person gets picked up by ED, they won't have the guts to try and threaten them. But he is threatening because he has power. He is a minister. And imagine that a central agency officer is telling the court.
Can I understand one
thing? So just a second. The central agency officers are telling the court.
Why are you giving this member of parliament uninterrupted time and you are not giving me even single sentence?
Because sir, my question to you is direct and you are not answering it. Do you think that Partha Chatterjee could threaten ED officers and tell them to leave the room if he ceased to be a minister?
Okay. So Mr. Nitish Pramanik, 12 cases against him, all were filed by TMC when he was in TMC. He has become the Deputy of Home Minister. You rewarded him because of his cases? John Barla, again another minister from Bengal, for whom Babul Supriyo resigned from the party and came back to ours. He has got again 11 cases, including murder, dacoity, sexual harassment and what not.
But sir, you're changing the goalpost. My question to you is direct. My question to you is, today the Enforcement Directorate is saying that the minister in custody is threatening us. He is telling us to leave the room. He is saying I want to make a phone call because he is misusing his power. Why are you persisting in giving him that power? He has power because he's a minister.
If he is saying this, you file an FIR. But you have made criminals the ministers, the whole ministry.
So if the ED feels threatened, file an FIR. Partha Chatterjee won't go from the cabinet. You file an FIR.
You are talking about power and correct.
No,
you misusing of power.
I think it is not even the childish answer. It is not even the childish answer.
This person,
when a person is arrested, 21 crore rupees seized, still the investigation is going on. We don't know how much money is with these people. And the person who claims to be a spokesperson of the ruling party says that let the ED file a FIR. It is a politically what your stand on corruption. This is moralizing the corruption. Escapism and moralizing, two things the TMC has. He has not been expelled from the cabinet. For the first time in the history of India, a person is arrested, clear charges of corruption. Money is seized, 21 crore. Can a simple person imagine that he can earn in his life 21 crore? Not even 2 crore a people like me earn in my life. And this person is defending. Same Mamata Banerjee went against the CBI. Same Mamata Banerjee, along with some more chief ministers, claimed that ED would not be allowed in their states because it was against the federalism. Now every hollow claim is exposed. They are against CBI, they are against ED, and they abuse CBI and ED. Can they say a single case of CBI and ED where there was a political vendetta?
Interrupt me, I know.
And you are interrupting. No, sir. Go ahead. Make a point.
Really
you want to make a point? Go ahead, Professor Mandal. Go ahead.
No, I don't do this. I don't do this. That's beyond my way of debating.
That's very nice to know, sir. But okay, finish your point, Professor Sinha, and then I'll come back to you, Professor Mandal. Yes.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah, what I believe that wherever there is a charge of corruption, we must go beyond the politics and ideological divide, because this is the corruption which is eating the country, which is finishing the country. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's claim and his action, it is irrespective of ideology and party and the people.
It is about making a statement. And let me remind you, Professor Mandal, that on the 22nd of June 2022, your party took out a statewide rally saying Shubhendu Adhikari should be arrested for corruption. Then again, you've got TMC demanding Prime Minister's resignation over demonetization. You said that this was an exercise in corruption. Then you said that Himanta Biswa Sarma should also be sacked and arrested for the Sharda chit fund scam. So when it comes to any other party, you demand immediate sacking. Why doesn't the same standard apply to your own party and your own leaders? This is your standard.
But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
So they don't do it, you also don't do it.
Hemanta Biswa Sarma is still the chief minister, and so is. Look, did I tell you that you will disturb me? I know you, I can understand your psychology. Did I tell you? So Shivraj Singh Chauhan, nothing happens. Haryana, the entire government is corruption with the family of the convicts, mind you, not accused, convicts. I repeat, father and son, 2 generations are in jail. You have made government with the 3rd generation, right? Again, come back to Bengal. Shubhendu Adhikari, you showed that televised, TV show
We did.
Taking bribe. You mean
and you didn't do anything about it. You didn't do anything about it. When he was with your party, Professor Mandal, you didn't do anything about it.
Nothing happens to him.
I'll remind you, by the way, interesting anecdote. When Shuvendu Adhikari was on tape, that time he was with the TMC. That time you didn't do anything. Now that he's in the BJP, you are taking out rallies. Let me remind you, by the way, for the Bhatpada riot, you filed a case against Arjun Singh. Are you still going to prosecute Arjun Singh now that he's back with the TMC, or Bhatpada is over? Bhatpada is memory.
Absolutely, the cases are...
Really? When are you going to call Arjun Singh for questioning in the Bhatpada case?
He was not arrested. He was not... No. He was not arrested. Listen. That's the courtesy. He was not arrested at that point of time. He's not arrested now in both the cases, right? Come back to the biggest of them. PM Care Fund. Who even knows how much money it is going?
I think it's quite clear. This is the point where we completely shift the goalposts and things go off at a tangent. So essentially the argument is, Gargi Nandi Roy, you can go blue in the face talking about Partha Chatterjee, but you have a Shuvendu Adhikari. So why should the TMC act? When you didn't act, why should the TMC act?
Right.
Same.
Okay. Okay, Manojit, I didn't disturb you. Kindly, I'll expect the same courtesy from you. I know you have to defend the indefensible today. Padmaja, let me tell you, I think every time TMC people are asked a question, they do what about tree.
Very new on TV.
Please, please, Manojit, I didn't interrupt you. Kindly let me finish. Okay, kindly let me finish. Let me finish. See, in West Bengal, nothing happens without the inspiration of Didi. If you enter Kolkata, huge hoardings of different projects written Didi Ronopuranay. That is, all projects happen with the inspiration of the CM. So the buck doesn't stop at Partho Chatterjee. The buck goes towards Kali Ghat. Let's be very clear. A few months ago, in a rally, in open rally, Mamata Banerjee was heard saying, "Bhag kore khawa shekho, sob eka khawa hoy na." Means, mil baat ke khao, akele mat khao. So, you know what was the rule? Partho Chatterjee will keep 75 to 80% will send to Kali Ghat, and 20-25% will remain with him. Mostly something happened wrong there. Maybe he was not sending. That is why today Didi is also silent. Didi has distanced. See, the same Didi who went and sat for dharna for Rajiv Kumar, the police commissioner, is distancing because Bhaipo, Abhishek wants Partho to be replaced by Babul. So some problem in share of booty happened. Maybe Partho Chatterjee was not sending. That's why this information went to ED about Orpita. And Orpita, they are disowning on 21st July meeting. Orpita was sitting on the same stage on the second row next to Shobhan Dev. What are they saying? You know, Padmaja, this scam has affected all of us, because I am a daughter of Bengal. Yeah, I am a daughter of Bengal. Monojit, give me 10 seconds, Padmaja. I am a daughter of Bengal.
No, this is serious charge. This goes right up till writer's building. This goes right up till the CM's office. Professor Mandal, that is why the sheltering of Partha Chatterjee.
It goes up to Nobanno.
Stop your friend first. I can't speak over her. That's beyond my courtesy. Look at, I think this is newly appearing,
Okay, go on, Professor Mandal, go on. It goes right till the top. That is why the protection. Professor Mandal.
Why are you so uncourteous, madam? Why are you so uncourteous? Why are you uncourteous? Yes. Who says Mehul Bhai? Who embraces Mehul Bhai? Accused of 10,000 crores of corruption. Does the buck stop with Mr. Modi? Who was seen with Bijoy Mallya? 8,000 crores ghapla. Does the buck stop with Mr. Modi? Who was seen with... Look at her. Madam, be courteous. I think you are holding a very important position in the central government. Must be very courteous, right? You are holding a very important position, I know.
Okay, Professor Mandal, please come to the point. The question being asked of you is this sheltering because the proceeds are going to everyone?
A party of goons, but don't heckle me on a TV show, please.
BJP is well in this country. I don't. You don't know the meaning of heckling.
Malia thing happened, whatever. Even listen.
Okay, let me bring in Gokul Chandran. Gokul Chandran again attempting to bring the debate back to the more specific issues. Today you've got an investigation that is underway. The investigators are saying we are not only being obstructed, we are being actively threatened. And again I underline, they are saying that one time we were going in a car with Arpita and a black car brushed up against us, almost insinuating that we are being physically harmed. Can then an impartial investigation take place when the accused is in a position of power, is seemingly being protected and still enjoys the trust of the powers that be?
Good evening, Padmaja. Prima facie, though we know that Mr. Partha Chatterjee is on the dock, but then the other side, what we have to see is who has put him on the dock. It is the Enforcement Directorate. Knowing the past history of Enforcement Director, we tend to give a benefit of doubt to Mr. Partha. If an innocent lady like Mrs. Sonia Gandhi can be called to ED office and questioned for 2-3 hours,
right now.
Then
if despite that you want to give benefit of doubt, then what will it take for you to doubt?
That's what I'm telling. No. Yeah, Padmaja, I'm talking about the incidents which you quoted, the black car which brushed, the Partha threatening them, and those things. So the ED's credibility is the most questionable factor here.
So you do know that these things have been said in court.
Fearless ED.
So the ED, if it has said all these things in court, it is a matter of record now. Are you suggesting the ED is lying in court?
Padmaja, the ED is not Saint ED that they will not lie. They have lied many times.
Sir, you cannot lie in court. You cannot lie in court.
So you cannot say whatever ED is.
Okay, Rakesh Sinha.
ED can.
You cannot okay, ED can lie in court. Rakesh Sinha.
ED says.
You know that there's something called perjury, sir. ED can lie in court. Rakesh
Padmaja, I am reminding these people this is the same Indian democracy when none other than the son-in-law of Jawaharlal Nehru, Feroz Gandhi, raised the question of corruption and the minister had to resign. So we have a legacy. Even if it was a Congress of Nehru, we have legacy that fighting against the corruption. We are one when there is a charges of corruption. But I am surprised how the time has changed. There are people who, at the cost of their own image, and how posterity will evaluate all of us, that we are coming on TV channel and defending ED, who is 21 crore in the home of a lady, and you are saying innocent. And you are saying Sonia Gandhi innocent. It is not the ED. It is the court which has ordered. It is under the court ED is investigating. There is a charge of thousands of crore of National Herald. That property didn't belong to the BJP or RSS or any particular state. It belonged to the Congress party. And that property was daylight loot and plunder by Sonia and Rahul Gandhi. This is allegation. That's why they are going to ED. How BJP has to do it in this? How ED has to do it there? Do you consider that if a minister, member of parliament or a chief minister tomorrow arrested, he should have immunity from the ED's investigation, CBI's investigation? There cannot be two sets of law, one for the common people, common businessmen and bureaucrats, other for the politicians. There is a rule of law, and a rule of law is not only applicable in the violence in the street, also applicable in the corruption.
Okay, and on that note,
I think that our Prime Minister has declared war against the corruption, and there is no immunity for any individual in this country who is involved in the corruption.
And on that note, let us also remind you that this investigation is also taking place with the Calcutta High Court simultaneously overseeing the entire operation. So to say that this is an act of vendetta and the ED is lying, these are cases that they will have to answer for in court. These are statements made in court, and if indeed this level of harassment and intimidation is taking place during an active investigation, one needs to ask questions of who's protecting the accused. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, and Gargi Nandi Roy for joining me. There seems to be an active attempt underway to try and spoil the communal atmosphere in Uttar Pradesh, and this is at a time when it is the month of Saffron. Religious fervor is at its peak in the state, and hundreds and thousands of Kanwariyas or Shiv Bhakts have also congregated across Uttar Pradesh. They are travelling across Uttar Pradesh, and at a time like this, the UP police has made a serious charge of how a plot is being hatched. The coincidence is too much to ignore. First came repeated episodes of how mystery namazis offered prayers in public places, and the videos went viral. And now, as the Kanwar Yatra in Uttar Pradesh is at its peak, come two incidents which make the police fear that communal crimes are being orchestrated in order to spread violence and divide amid communities. The Bijnor police has arrested two brothers named Kamal and Adil for desecrating a dargah in the town. The two were caught by locals in the act when they broke the mazar and burnt the holy cloth placed around it. The shocking part is that both of them were seemingly masquerading as Hindu devotees with a saffron safa tied on their head. Eyewitnesses tell Times Now that they suspect this was well thought out conspiracy because of the preparation that was done. According to them, Adil and Kamal came to the dargah on a motorcycle that did not have a number plate. They had a hammer and chisel with which they destroyed Jalal Shah's mazar and Qutub Shah's mazar as well. Eyewitnesses tell Times Now that they suspect this was well thought out. The police says that the aim was to spread animosity.
मोटरसाइकिल थी, मोटरसाइकिल बगैर नंबर हो गई थी।
किस टाइम पहुंचा था वो यहाँ पर?
यहाँ 5:30-6 बजे। दोबारा आया वो एक दफा आके।
पहले आया तो क्या करके गया था?
हाँ, पहले आया था तो वो चादर फूंक गया था।
अच्छा, फिर
बाहर यहाँ इकट्ठी करके यहाँ बाहर निकाल के अच्छा करा के बाहर निकाल के फूंकी उसने, नहीं अंदर तो और भी नुकसान होता।
अच्छा, पहले चादर में आग लगाई।
हाँ,
और उसके बाद?
उसके बाद में दोबारा फिर आया।
उसके बाद चला गया
गाँव में।
अच्छा, फिर कितनी देर बाद आया?
नमाज पढ़ के आया। फिर
कितनी देर बाद आया वहाँ से नमाज पढ़ के?
वहाँ से आया करीब कोई आधा-पौन घंटा बाद में।
फिर आया। और फिर क्या किया? फिर क्या किया?
वो फिर आके सरकार का जो अंदर मजार तोड़ने लगा।
किस चीज से?
तो छीनी हथौड़ा था उसके पास।
Timing of the incident shows that there must have been some motive behind it, and definitely it was an attempt to vitiate the communal atmosphere because of two reasons. One reason is that the maximum Kanwar peak load was there yesterday, and that day in the neighboring area of Haridwar in district Bijnor, there has been attempt to damage religious shrine at 3 places.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Tushar Gupta, Senior Editor, Swaraj, Vinod Bansal, National Spokesperson, BHP, Zubair Memon, Political Analyst, Majid Haidari, Political Analyst. First question, National Spokesperson, Samajwadi Party, Anurag Bhadauria. Anurag जी, आपको अजीब नहीं लगता कि कोई भगवा पहन करके मजार पे क्यों हमला करेगा?
यही तो मैं उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार से पूछना चाहता हूँ। आखिर उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार कर क्या रही है? इस तरह के कैसे लोग आ जा रहे हैं समाज के अंदर में? कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने की जिम्मेदारी तो सरकार की होती है। सरकार अपनी जिम्मेदारी से तो नहीं भाग सकती। सरकार अपनी जिम्मेदारी से क्यों भाग रही है? लगातार इस तरह के इंसिडेंट हो रहे हैं जब से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार आई है। जब से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार आई है, लगातार उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर में नफरत की राजनीति देखने को मिली। आखिर क्यों? भाई कहाँ है इनका कानून व्यवस्था? कहाँ है इनका इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट? इन्हें कुछ पता ही नहीं चलता।
तभी तो उन दोनों को पकड़ करके जेल में डाला हुआ है। पर आप ये सोचिए, इनको अगर नहीं पकड़ा होता तो अभी ये वीडियो वायरल हो रहा होता जहाँ पे कहते कि भगवा आतंकवाद ने जाकर के 3 दरगाह को ध्वस्त कर दिया। कौन ये नैरेटिव फैलाना चाहता है?
मैं इनसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि जब भी इस तरह का इंसिडेंट होता है तो इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट कहां चला जाता है? कानपुर में एक घटना हुई थी तो वहां प्राइम मिनिस्टर आए थे, प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री जी थे, उसके बाद भी उस घटना हुई तो इनका इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट कहां जाता है? मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूं।
इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट तो पकड़ लेगा। आप सवाल का जवाब दीजिए ना, ये कौन लोग हैं और ये क्यों ये भगवा आतंकवाद किस्म की थ्योरी फैलाना चाहते हैं? मजारों को ध्वस्त करके वहां भगवा पहन के क्यों पहुंच जाते हैं?
तो यही तो पूछना चाहता हूँ, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बताए ना, आखिर उनकी सरकार में ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार में
आपकी थ्योरी क्या है सर? आपका स्टैंड क्या है कि क्यों हो रहा है?
क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की जिम्मेदारी है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी बताए कि उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर में आखिर इस तरह की राजनीति क्यों हो रही है, कौन लोग हैं जो कर रहे हैं, कौन फ्रिंज एलिमेंट।
पर आपका स्टैंड क्या है? फ्रिंज एलिमेंट ये कौन है? चले अब आप फ्रिंज एलिमेंट तक आए, कौन है ये फ्रिंज एलिमेंट और क्यों कर रहे हैं ये क्यों भगवा पहन के पहुंचते हैं?
इस देश के, मैं बोल तो रहा हूँ, क्यों कर रहे हैं तो सरकार बताए ना क्यों कर रहे हैं। सरकार
थोड़ी ना इनको भेज रही है भगवा पहना के, सरकार तो पकड़ेगी। भेज कौन रहा है, सवाल ये है।
ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अलावा कौन कर सकता है ये काम?
भारतीय जनता पार्टी भेज रही है।
नहीं, उदयपुर की घटना आपको याद है? आखिर कौन लोग थे? भारतीय जनता बताए कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी कार्यकर्ता थे कि नहीं थे उदयपुर में जो घटना हुई थी?
आपको पता है ना कि उदयपुर में जो घटना हुई थी, क्योंकि हर बार उसका जिक्र हो जाता है, वो दावती इस्लामी को मानते थे। अब तो जो पाकिस्तान से आदमी आया है मारने के लिए, उसको भी आप कहेंगे कि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का ही था।
बिल्कुल, तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार अगर इस तरह की, हमारी सरकार में तो नहीं हुआ कभी भी, न किसी मॉल में वहाँ नमाज पढ़ी गई, न इस तरह की घटना हुई। आखिर बीजेपी की सरकार में घटनाएं क्यों हो रही है?
अच्छा बताइए विनोद बंसल जी, अखिलेश जी की सरकार रही, मुलायम जी की सरकार रही, क्यों नहीं हुआ ये? अब क्यों हो रहा है योगी जी की सरकार में?
देखिए सबसे पहले तो मैं उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार और उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस तंत्र को साधुवाद दूंगा जो ये कह रहे हैं कि इंटेलिजेंस फेरियो था। मैं कहता हूँ इंटेलिजेंस सजग था, जागरूक था, इसी के कारण वो जिहादी पकड़े गए, अन्यथा तो आज क्या स्थिति होती। आप देखिए कि आज जो है हम डिबेट कुछ और टॉपिक पर कर रहे होते, पूरा उत्तर प्रदेश जल रहा होता और ये होता कभी समाजवादी पार्टी सारे नमाजवादियों के साथ खड़े होती, पूरी समाजवादी पार्टी नमाजवादियों के साथ खड़ी होती, इस्लामिक जिहादियों के साथ में खड़ी होकर के और आगजनी में सहभागी होती। अरे भैया ये बताइए, हाजीपुर के अंदर, मुंगेर के अंदर जो साधु वेश में जो मुसलमान थे उनको किसने पकड़ा, क्यों पकड़े गए, क्या कर रहे थे वो? आप मुझे बताइए, भगवाधारी मुसलमान बनकर के बागपत में हथियार लेकर के मंदिर में घुसे, क्या कर रहे थे वो? कौन थे वो? क्या बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता थे वो? अरे मुरादाबाद के अंदर कावड़ यात्रा को रोकने वाले कौन लोग थे आखिरकार? आप मुझे बताइए, कोई एक इंसिडेंस है कि अनगिनत है? गोरखपुर की बात हो, मुजफ्फरपुर की बात हो, मेरठ की बात हो, हाजीपुर की बात हो, मुंगेर की बात हो, अरे भाई एक लंबी फहरिस्त है। हमारी सारी यात्राओं को रोकने के षड्यंत्र जो है ना देशव्यापी हो रहे हैं और ये मैं कहता हूं धन्यवाद है उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार को, उत्तर प्रदेश के
क्यों हो रहा है? आपके हिसाब से क्यों हो रहा है? यहाँ पर अनुराग भदौरिया कह रहे हैं कि राजनीति के लिए हो रहा है, आपको क्या लगता है क्यों हो रहा है?
मैम जो चीज आपने अभी
देखिए, अनुराग भदौरिया जैसे लोग या कांग्रेस की कोख से जन्मे जितने भी राजनीतिक पार्टियां हैं वो इस्लामिक जिहादियों को कवर फायर देने का काम करती हैं और ये कवर फायर देने के कारण ही जो है ये सब घटनाओं दुर्घटनाओं को जन्म देती हैं ये लोग।
ओके,
तो कम से कम इंटेलिजेंस ने समय पर
आप डेसिक्रेट कीजिए और फिर बदनाम कीजिए,
सिखा दिया। लेकिन मैं
पहले किसी के धर्म पे हमला कीजिए और दूसरे धर्म को बुरा नाम दीजिए। मेमन साहब
जी, जिस तरीके से आपने बताया और शुरुआत में जो क्लिप चली, लोकल वहाँ के कोई मौलवी या कोई लोकलाइट थे दरगाह के, उन्होंने क्लियरली बताया कि कोई दो लोग आए बिगर नंबर प्लेट की गाड़ी पे, आके चादर को जला दिया, फिर चले गए, फिर 1.5 घंटे बाद आए और फिर वहां पे जाकर डिस्ट्रक्शन का काम किया। ये लोकल पुलिस अथॉरिटी की नाकामी ही मानी जाएगी। उसके भी आगे हम चलते हैं, हमने और भी कुछ वीडियोस देखे जहां पे कई घंटों तक एक पुलिस स्टेशन को ही उद्ध्वस्त कर दिया गया। पुलिस प्रशासन उत्तर प्रदेश में कर क्या रहा है?
अरे भैया
कहीं कोई भगवा पहन के दरगाह तोड़ रहा है, कहीं पे कुछ कावड़िया, पूरा का पूरा पुलिस स्टेशन ही उद्ध्वस्त कर देते हैं।
अरे पुलिस
प्रशासन इतने घंटों तक कर क्या रहा है उत्तर प्रदेश?
सर वो तो पकड़ लेगा ये।
चादर जलाता है।
मेमन साहब, very respectfully I want to ask you, you also know that it is very facile to argue कि पुलिस वाले हर जगह मौजूद क्यों नहीं थे। कोई इस बात का जवाब क्यों नहीं दे रहा है कि ये लोग कौन हैं जो कि आते हैं भगवा पहन के और फिर किसी के धार्मिक स्थल पर हमला करते हैं? क्या इसका व्हाट इज द आइडिया, व्हाट इज द इंटेंशन, व्हाट डू दे वांट टू डू?
मैं बता रहा हूँ कौन लोग है ये।
कौन लोग है?
ये वही लोग है जो खतना करके और दाढ़ी टोपी पहन के महात्मा गांधी पे गोली चलाए थे। ये वही लोग है जो पुलिस स्टेशनों पे जाकर पुलिस स्टेशन उद्ध्वस्त किए। ये वही लोग है जो किसी पार्टी प्रवेश में जाकर के उदयपुर में हत्याकांड किए। ये वही आतंकवादी है जो देश का पीस और हार्मनी को बिगाड़ते आ रहे हैं।
ओके, तो आपको ये भी लगता है? अच्छा ठीक है, तो चलिए ये दोनों आदमी भी बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता निकलेंगे अकॉर्डिंग टू यू। मुरादाबाद में जो द लेडीज हु वर सिटिंग ऑन द रोड एंड ब्लॉकिंग कावड़ियाज, जो बच्चों को बैठा दिया था, वो भी भाजपा के लोग थे जो कि महिलाओं और बच्चों को रास्ते में डाल दिया कावड़ यात्रा के और कहा कि हम कावड़ियों को नहीं निकलने देंगे।
पिछले 2 महीने में जितनी रिपोर्ट्स हमारे पास आई है इन्वेस्टिगेशंस के बाद पुलिस के द्वारा, उसमें तो ज्यादातर केसों में भाजपा के लोग लिप्त पाए गए हैं। इसमें भी हो सकता है, पुलिस की रिपोर्ट का इंतजार करेंगे।
हो सकता है। अच्छा तुषार गुप्ता, ये भी हो सकता है,
करेंगे हम।
ये भी बीजेपी के प्राइमरी मेंबरशिप होगी।
पद्मजा अनुराग भदौरिया जी का तो बस चले, वो तालिबान को भी बीजेपी का आउटफिट डिक्लेयर कर देंगे। समाजवादी के सरकार में क्रिमिनल्स पकड़े नहीं जाते थे तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का प्रॉब्लम नहीं था, क्योंकि किसी के सामने प्रॉब्लम आती नहीं थी। आज बीजेपी के राज में क्रिमिनल्स पकड़े जा रहे हैं, उनके जो पूरे ये जो उनके इंटेंशन है, इफ दे आर बीइंग कॉट रेड हैंडेड, तो बीजेपी की सरकार बुरी है। अनुराग भदौरिया जी चुप रहिए, एक मिनट चुप रहिए, सुनिए, मैंने आपको सुना ना, आप सुनिए 1 मिनट। पद्मजा, 2 बातें हैं। एक ना ऑल आउट फ्रंटल अटैक होना शुरू हो गया है हिंदू फेस्टिवल्स के अगेंस्ट। कभी जुडिशरी करती है दिवाली पर, कभी पॉलिटिकल ऑपोजिशन करता है कुंभ के मेले पर, कभी ब्यूरोक्रेट्स करते हैं गणेश पूजा पर, रामनवमी की प्रोसेशन निकलता है उसमें पत्थरबाजी होती है, और अब आज ये। तो एक ऑल आउट सिस्टमैटिक अटैक होना शुरू हो गया हिंदू फेस्टिवल्स, हिंदू कस्टम्स के अगेंस्ट, और ये उसी का हिस्सा है। पर बात ये है कि अनुराग भदौरिया और जुबैर मेमन जैसे लोग बातें बड़ी बड़ी करेंगे, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की, डेमोक्रेसी की, सेकुलरिज्म की। आप इनसे अभी पूछिए कि ये वायलेंस क्यों हो रही है, इनकी एकदम चुप्पी हो जाएगी।
इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट। अनुराग भदौरिया ये कह रहे हैं,
इन पर इनका
तुषार गुप्ता कह रहे हैं कि ये जानबूझ के कावड़ यात्रा को बदनाम करने की कोशिश थी, कि ये दिखाने की कोशिश, देखो कावड़िए निकले उत्तर प्रदेश में और दरगाह पर हमला हो गया।
अच्छा ये बताइए,
उस पर आप चुप क्यों हैं? आप लॉ एंड ऑर्डर करते रहेंगे, बट किसी एक फेस्टिवल को बदनाम करने की कोशिश पे आप क्यों नहीं बोल रहे?
हाँ तो उसी पे तो पूछ रहा हूँ ना कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने दोनों को पकड़ के पूछा होगा ना किसने भेजा है, बताए सरकार। अब तक तो पूछ लिया होगा, अब तक क्यों नहीं बता रही किसने?
सर आप ये तो मानेंगे ना कि किसी सावन के महीने में इस तरीके की हरकत करना यानी किसी धर्म को बदनाम करने की कोशिश थी। आप स्टैंड तो लीजिए, जो ये कोशिश की गई है क्यों की गई है, आपका क्या थ्योरी है इस पे?
कोशिश नहीं, इस तरह के लोग कौन है जो समाज के अंदर में इस तरह की बात कर रहे हैं धर्म के नाम पे, ये जो धर्म की राजनीति।
अरे वही तो सवाल है, वो लोग कौन है और आप इनको पॉलिटिकल कवर
को बदनाम करने के लिए, कावड़ियों को बदनाम करने के लिए कौन है ये दोनों लोग? सरकार बताए, सरकार ने तो पकड़ लिया ना, किसने भेजा था इन दोनों को?
पर इन प्रिंसिपल आप मान रहे हैं कि ये किसी एक फेस्टिवल को या धर्म को बदनाम करने की कोशिश की गई थी। ये कोइंसिडेंस तो नहीं है ना कि आदमी वहां पहुंच जाएगा और अपने सर पर वो भगवा बांधा हुआ है। आप ये बताइए कल को कोई आदमी ऐसे रैंडमली घूमता हुआ मिलेगा और उसने टोपी पहनी हुई है, आप कहेंगे कि हाँ ये बहुत रैंडम है या ये जानबूझ के नफरत फैलाने की कोशिश है?
पद्मजा जी आप आज कंफ्यूज हो गए, फंस गए आप बीजेपी का पक्ष लेते लेते सवाल ही नहीं पूछ पा रहे। सवाल पूछे क्या है, आपको पता ही नहीं।
अरे सवाल तो बहुत स्ट्रेट है अनुराग जी, आप उसको ऐसे घुमा के पूछेंगे और ऐसे घुमा के पूछेंगे, सवाल एक ही है। एक आदमी भगवा पहन के मजार क्यों तोड़ता है? क्या ये हिंदुइज्म को बदनाम करने की कोशिश नहीं है? पीरियड। कावड़ियों को, सावन को, कावड़ यात्रा को, हिंदुओं को बदनाम करने की कोशिश है, हाँ या ना? ये सवाल है
का जवाब सुन लीजिए। सवाल का ये हिंदू धर्म को बदनाम करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। मैं पूछता हूं सरकार ने पकड़ा है, कौन लोग हैं, किसने भेजा था, बताए सरकार क्यों बदनाम करना चाहती हिंदू धर्म को?
आपकी थ्योरी क्या है, आपका स्टैंड क्या है, कौन कर रहा है बदनाम? सरकार तो करेगी इन्वेस्टिगेट। आपके हिसाब से ये कौन लोग हैं और क्यों हो रहा है?
यही तो मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, सरकार ने पकड़ लिया ना, अब सरकार बताएगी ना किसने।
तो आपका कोई स्टैंड नहीं है एज अ पार्टी, आप बस सवाल पूछेंगे। विनोद बंसल, आपका कोई स्टैंड नहीं है सर, अदरवाइज आपको पता है कि कौन सही है, कौन गलत है, कौन चोर है, कौन उचक्का है, कौन इनोसेंट है, इसमें आपका कोई स्टैंड नहीं है। फंसी मैं नहीं हूँ सर, पिछले 15 मिनट से जो लोग देख रहे हैं उनको समझ में आ रहा है कौन फंसा है। विनोद बंसल जी,
आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ धर्म को बदनाम करने वाले ये दोनों लोग कौन हैं?
विनोद बंसल जी।
पद्मजा जी देखिए, इनका स्टैंड बड़ा क्लियर है, ये बोलेंगे कुछ नहीं, लेकिन आप देखिए पद्मजा जी, इनका स्टैंड बड़ा क्लियर है। इनका स्टैंड जो बोले कुछ नहीं, लेकिन आपको सीधी तरह से अच्छी तरह जानते हैं कि ये वो लोग हैं जो जिहादियों को, आतंकवादियों को, अलगाववादियों को और हिंसा फैलाने वालों को कवर फायर देने का काम करते हैं। आप मुझे बताइए ये आदिल और कमाल कौन है? आप मुझे बताइए जो लुल्लू महल में जो पकड़े गए मोहम्मद रिहान, आतिफ खान, लोकमान, नोमान, आदिल, इरफान, संदीप, ये कौन लोग हैं आखिरकार? नाम बताए ना, ये नाम से पता नहीं लगता आपको कौन लोग हैं और आखिरकार किस मानसिकता से आ रहे थे? और ये जो है, ये कहते हैं कि भाई ये मुसलमान है और भगवाधारी अपने साधु के वेश में मंदिर में घुस रहे हैं और साथ में हथियार लेके जा रहे हैं। कौन लोग हैं ये? और किस लिए जा रहे हैं? साफ साफ बात है।
Majid Hadri, why is there such a fear of taking a stand
उसके बाद में सरकार बाहर आती थी
vis-a-vis who these people are, unless it is about just trying and shifting the goalpost till the time you finally manage to link Kamal to Kamal in some way. For the first 1 week after the murder of Kanhaiya Lal, किसी ने कोई stand नहीं लिया, किसी ने कुछ कंडेम नहीं किया, बस एक ब्लैंकेट कॉन्डेमनेशन दे दिया। जैसे ही वो तथाकथित बीजेपी लिंक निकल के आया, एवरीवन जंप्ड एंड सेड देखो ये तो सब बीजेपी ने किया है। अब अमरावती में सब चुप है क्योंकि वहां कोई लिंक नहीं निकला, तो अमरावती में एवरीवन सिटिंग क्वाइट। Why can't you take a stand on who these people are and what their intention is?
Well, exactly, Padmaja Sahiba, this is a really serious issue, and then let's look at the plot. Two youths from a particular community desecrate the shrine of their own community. Now, is it possible without indoctrination? The answer is no. So, who is responsible for this indoctrination is the main question. And the answer lies in the new variant of Saffron terror, which is indoctrinating the innocent Muslim youth against their own community or otherwise to keep the pot of communal hatred boiling. And who is getting benefited from this politics of communal hatred? It's only the Saffron Brigade and nobody else.
Then why is the Yogi government arresting them? अगर उनको इतना indoctrinate करके भेजा है, तब तो बहुत ही बेवकूफ होंगे कि उनको फिर arrest भी कर लिया।
No. See, one thing very peculiar about this incident. They were wearing saffron robes, which means wearing saffron in UP gives you the license like Saat Khoon Maaf. It's a Saat Khoon Maaf moment for people there. So this is what the Home Ministry needs to look into. That saffron is being misused in UP, and that is what has got exposed from this new variant of saffron terror.
Mr. Hydri, you can come up with the most facile of explanations, but you still haven't answered. Why would somebody go desecrate a mazar and wear saffron?
Why would a Muslim desecrate his own sacred shrine?
To blame
that is
Hindus
the basic
for
question.
it.
It's not
To blame
possible
Hindus
without
for
indoctrination by someone from the Saffron Brigade.
Because you want to spread hatred, sir. If you can't see that, then there has to be some next level of denial that you're in. It's as clear as that. It's common sense.
Since 2014, only one community is getting benefited, one party ideology is getting benefited by the politics of hatred, and that we all know. So why don't we look? Why don't we call
हो क्या रहा है कुछ पार्टी की नहीं एक सेकंड, कुछ पार्टी की जो दुकानें हैं ना वो चलती है माइनॉरिटी अपीजमेंट पे। तो अगर हिंदू के किसी फेस्टिवल को बदनाम करने की साजिश की जाती है और पकड़ी जाती है, अरे ये तो बीजेपी ने करवाया होगा, पर यही कहानी दूसरी तरफ हो कि देखिए बीजेपी की सरकार है तो ऐसा हो रहा है, तो चिट भी मेरी पट भी मेरी। अगर हिंदुओं के खिलाफ कुछ हो रहा है तो बीजेपी ने करवाया होगा नफरत फैलाने के लिए, और अगर किसी और के खिलाफ कुछ हो रहा है, अरे बीजेपी की सरकार है ऐसा तो होना ही था। मतलब स्टैंड हम किसी के अगेंस्ट ही लेंगे, बदनाम हम हिंदुओं को ही करेंगे क्योंकि माइनॉरिटी अपीजमेंट पर दुकान चलानी है। दिस इज द स्टैंड ऑफ द समाजवादी पार्टी, दिस इज द स्टैंड ऑफ ऑल दोस पीपल हु वांट टू गिव सच इंसिडेंट्स पॉलिटिकल कवर फायर, बॉटम लाइन।
All right, and that is the most dangerous for any community. There can be no cover fire for people like this, irrespective of which community they come from. Fortunately though, these two have been discovered, they've been called out, they've been arrested. We must guard against all the Adils and Kamals of this kind. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for joining me. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
India gets its 15th president as Draupadi Murmu is sworn in. She becomes the second woman and the first tribal person to become the president of India. She is also the youngest and the first president to be born in independent India. Within 2 weeks of mysterious death of Salem girl student, another Tamil Nadu class 12 student found dead in Thiruvallur school hostel. Protest breaks out against the school. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar announces ex gratia ₹2 lakhs each for the next of kin of 8 people from Bihar who've lost their lives in the bus accident on Purvanchal Expressway near Barabanki in UP earlier today. The Delhi Congress staged a protest outside Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's residence demanding his resignation over alleged violation of rules and procedural lapses in the city government's excise policy. Actor Vicky Kaushal registered a complaint against an unknown person at Santa Cruz police station for threatening and stalking his wife Katrina Kaif. A small-time actor named Manvinder Singh has been arrested. Cops claim Manvinder was upset with Katrina for not marrying him.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
Where the software engineer meets the cool UI UX designer, meets the gifted content writer. To create the big dream, the world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
The National President of Hindu Sena, Shri Vishnu Gupta, has filed a complaint against Bollywood actor Ranveer Singh for alleged obscenity. Singh had recently done a nude photo shoot for a magazine. In yet another shocker, Tamil Nadu's speaker has linked the state's development to Christianity. He added, if there were no priests in the state, Tamil Nadu would be like Bihar.
For me, President Xi Jinping has asked officials to step up efforts to uphold the principle that Islam in China must be Chinese in orientation.
When Xi Jinping himself says that if you have to be Muslim, you have to be Muslim in a Chinese way, this is a very clear indication of the fact that we tell you how to be Muslim. You are Muslim, but we will tell you what being Muslim is like, otherwise it's too bad for you.
She visited the volatile Xinjiang region, where the Chinese security forces for the last several years have made efforts to control protests by the Uyghur Muslims over settlements from Han Chinese from outside the province.
In recent years, all these concentration camps have sprouted, the re-education camps have sprouted. There is talk of how body parts like kidneys are being taken away from Uyghurs and sold in the open market. It's called the world's red market. The Chinese expectedly are leaders at it. So what Xi Jinping has said only underlines what China has been doing all this while.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching News Now Overnight with me, Priya Behel. Let's get you up to date with whatever has happened on the first day of this week. Has Trinamool Congress dumped his minister Partha Chatterjee after the arrest? Police memo shows he made 4 calls to his party chief on the night of arrest. None answered. Without taking names, Mamata says guilty must be punished. After almost 21 crore rupees in cash, and ED also recovers documents of at least 5 properties in Arpita Mukherjee's name. Partha and his alleged aides' foreign trips also under scanner for possible money laundering connection. 4 Congress MPs suspended for the rest of monsoon session for ignoring Speaker's warning against waving placards inside the House. Congress alleges intimidation for raising people's issues.
मैं द्रौपदी मुर्मू ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूं कि मैं श्रद्धापूर्वक भारत के राष्ट्रपति पद का कार्यपालन करूंगी.
Draupadi Murmu sworn in as 15th President of India in a mega ceremony at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. She is also the first tribal leader to occupy country's highest office. Congress alleges Mallikarjun Kharge made to sit in a place not commensurate with his position at oath-taking ceremony, alleges deliberate disrespect. BJP tweets a 2012 picture of Pranab Mukherjee's swearing in to show the then leader of opposition Arun Jaitley occupied similar spot then. 2 men posing as Hindus caught for desecrating 3 dargahs in Uttar Pradesh's Bijnor. Cops say plot to stir communal tension and Kamarya Yatra is underway. Opposition alleges BJP hand. Plot to trigger communal unrest foiled in UP's Muradabad as well. A group deliberately blocks Kamarya's passage through a village. Heavy police presence foils clashes. Tamil Nadu Speaker sparks a storm by linking state's development to Christianity and also drawing derisive parallels with Bihar. BJP seeks apology. Man who allegedly stalked and threatened actor Katrina Kaif and Vicky Kaushal arrested by Mumbai police. Accused from Lucknow wanted to marry Katrina, morphed and posted his pictures with her. And we've got back-to-back breaking developments coming in top of this bulletin. The latest being the moral police striking yet again.